Chapter 3408. Within the Chaos Sea. The Yorwild's realm seemed to have expanded 1,000 times over, and it radiated an eternal light. The great world was like a resplendent sun, illuminating the entire chaotic sea. It gave off a mysterious presence, causing the chaotic force in the chaotic sea to surge violently, surging towards the great world. Everyone could sense that the Yorwild's realm was still expanding. According to true immortal Yiliangshui, when the Yorwild's realm expanded to its limit, it would be captured by the eternal heavenly Tao and become part of the eternal immortal domains. For countless years, the eternal immortal domains had been like this. It had been formed by the merging of many eternal worlds, and now it was unimaginably vast. Even an immortal king wouldn't be able to find the borders of the eternal immortal domains even if he used all of his power. Rumble. The world tree had taken root in the center of the Yorwild's realm, gushing with boundless life essence. Ancient worlds had merged with the Yorwild's realm as one. With the world tree, the Yorwild's realm became even more ethereal and mysterious. Although Faith Ling Xiao and Darkness Ling Xiao had refined the world tree's power, they hadn't destroyed its foundation. The world tree had taken root in the Yorwild's realm, and as it breathed in and out chaos energy, it would eventually recover its supreme power. The Yorwild's realm had completely transcended and become an eternal world, enveloped by the eternal heavenly Tao of the eternal immortal domains. Ling Xiao, Darkness, and Faith sat cross-legged at the top of the world tree, meditating on the eternal heavenly Tao. Once their nascent spirits transformed, they would become true immortal kings. When the primordial chaos Tao Lord Qianquan, and Tao Lord Xianming had first seen the arrival of the 7 true immortals, they'd thought it was very likely that they would rule over the Yorwild's realm. If they joined the 7 true immortals, they might be able to ascend to the eternal immortal domains one day. But when they saw the 7 true immortals suppressed and Ling Xiao's invincible power, they were thoroughly terrified. What do we do now? We all have a grudge against Ling Xiao. If we don't make a choice now, forget about ascending to the eternal immortal domains, he'll probably come after us. Tao Lord Xianming said nervously. But you want me to join Ling Xiao? I'm not willing to do that. Immemorial Tao Master clenched his fists, his eyes filled with unwillingness. I feel that it might not be a bad thing for us to join Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was so terrifyingly strong that he was most likely an overlord in the eternal immortal domains. If we follow him, we should be able to get a lot of benefits. The Heaven and Earth Tao Master said slowly. Actually, the 3 of you have another choice. At this moment, a bright light bloomed in the void. The wordless heavenly tome appeared before the 3 Tao Lords. Wordless heavenly book? The eyes of the 3 Tao Lords flashed. They naturally recognized the wordless heavenly book, especially the Dark Nether Tao Lord who had worked together with the wordless heavenly book. You can choose to work with me. When the 7 true immortals arrived, I found the path to the eternal immortal domains. As long as you follow me, I can take you to the eternal immortal domains. The vessel spirit of the wordless heavenly book appeared and said with a faint smile. You, immemorial Pathmaster said coldly. You can choose not to believe me, or you can choose to side with Ling Xiao. But in my opinion, following me to the eternal immortal domains is the best choice. The vessel spirit of the wordless heavenly book smiled faintly. Aren't you afraid that the 3 of us will suppress you? The Dark Nether Tao Lord said coldly. Suppress me? You'll have to have the ability to do so. The vessel spirit of the wordless heavenly book sneered. The wordless heavenly book shone with dazzling light and chaotic mist swirled around it. The shadows of the longevity tower, the cauldron of creation, the primordial pearl, and other chaos treasures appeared around it. However, the wordless heavenly book had devoured all 10 chaos treasures and become a part of it. The vessel spirit of the wordless heavenly book radiated an incomparably terrifying aura. You fused 10 chaos treasures? How bold! You're probably a Tao Lord by now. You're qualified to work with us. The universe Tao Lord sucked in a breath of cold air and glanced warily at the vessel spirit of the wordless heavenly book. He also realized that even the Lord of the Dark Plane had died at the hands of the wordless heavenly book. It was as if the wordless heavenly book had devoured him and turned him into nourishment. Let me go, Ling Xiao. I can't stay in the Your Wilds any longer. Perhaps I'll be able to find my fortune in the eternal immortal domains. The same goes for all of you. What's your choice? The vessel spirit of the wordless heavenly book smiled faintly. All right. We'll go with you to the eternal immortal domains. The primordial chaos Tao Lord, the universe Tao Lord, and the dark nether Tao Lord exchanged glances before nodding solemnly. You've made the best choice. The vessel spirit of the wordless heavenly book smiled faintly, but an undetectable glint of surprise flashed through its eyes. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Under the guidance of the wordless heavenly book, the primordial chaos Tao Lord, and the others took a deep look at the Your Wilds and Ling Xiao. Then, they transformed into streams of light and shot into the depths of the sea of chaos. Ling Xiao, darkness Ling Xiao, and Faith Ling Xiao sat cross-legged beneath the world tree for over 10,000 years. 10,000 years later. Rumble. The Your Wilds trembled violently as a mysterious, blazing light burst forth from within them. Boundless immortal light erupted from their bodies as 3 Tao flowers bloomed above their heads. They'd finally comprehended the laws of the eternal heavenly Tao and transformed their nascent spirits. Ling Xiao's nascent spirit and immortal king body had completely merged, and he'd truly become an immortal king. Faith Ling Xiao had become one with the Your Wilds, becoming the new heavenly Tao of the Your Wilds. On the other hand, darkness Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with relief. Heh. Now that you've become the heavenly Tao of the Your Wilds, take care of all life. I'm going to take my beautiful wives and concubines and wander the sea of chaos. Darkness Ling Xiao stretched lazily and chuckled mischievously. That was Ling Xiao's intention. He had to go to the eternal immortal domains in the end. Given darkness Ling Xiao's lazy personality, he wasn't suited to become the heavenly Tao. Therefore, the heavy responsibility of becoming the heavenly Tao fell on Faith Ling Xiao. Faith Ling Xiao was the great Tao of the Your Wilds, and the true ruler of all life in the 3 realms. Ling Xiao, I've already searched through the cycles of reincarnation, but I haven't found Zhao Ritian's true spirit. I have a hunch that as soon as the Your Wilds world ascended, many of the true spirits were drawn to the eternal immortal domains. It's very likely that Zhao Ritian has been reincarnated in the eternal immortal domains. Faith Ling Xiao said to Ling Xiao, the eternal immortal domains? Perfect. When I go to the eternal immortal domains, I'll find Senior Kunwu Mountain and Zhao Ritian and bring them back. Light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as he spoke softly. Furthermore, I've already built a statue of Senior Kunwu Mountain in the Your Wilds. Senior Kunwu Mountain fed the Tao with his own body and protected all life in the Your Wilds. He is the true totem of the Your Wilds, and all life must remember his virtuous deeds. Faith Ling Xiao said slowly. Of course. From now on, Senior Kunwu Mountain will be the only totem of the Your Wilds. A look of longing appeared in Ling Xiao's eyes. Without the Emperor of Kunwu Mountain, Ling Xiao would have died long ago under the eternal heavenly Tao, and the Your Wilds would have fallen into the hands of the 7 true immortals. That would have been the darkest era of the Your Wilds. The Emperor of Kunwu Mountain deserved to be remembered by all life. Ling Xiao, what do you plan to do next? Faith Ling Xiao asked. I'm tired after all these years. I want to spend some time with my family, Jinsei, and Changsheng. Once the dust has settled, I'll go to the eternal immortal domains. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, and his eyes shone with incomparable relief. All these years, he had been fighting for his life against the heavens. His nerves had always been stretched taut. He had constantly become stronger, constantly breaking through, and shouldering the responsibilities that belonged to him. Now it was time to let go. That's good. You should spend some time with Jinsei, Shuiwei, and Changsheng. Shuiwei is about to give birth, isn't she? After 10,000 years of pregnancy, the child will definitely be incredible. Darkness Ling Xiao said with a smile. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure with dazzling immortal light streaked across the sky. It was the true immortal who had surrendered to Ling Xiao, Yiliang Shui. Master, mistress has given birth. It's a fat boy with a connate great Tao body. His talent is unparalleled throughout the ages, and he's on par with the connate chaotic body. Yi Liangshui said with a smile. After 10,000 years here, he had gradually become more obedient. He and Yi Liangchen were birds of a feather, and had even become sworn brothers. Yi Liangshui thought Yi Liangchen was a member of his family, so he wanted to bring Yi Liangchen back to the Yi family to acknowledge his ancestors. She gave birth? Ha ha ha. Great! My son has finally been born. Ling Zhao's body trembled, and his eyes shone with excitement. He transformed into a beam of dazzling immortal light, and shot toward the Lingshao celestial court. In the heavenly court, a frail Shuewei held a beautiful porcelain doll in her arms. Her eyes were filled with incomparable happiness. Shuewei, are you all right? Ling Xiao rushed in, looking at Shuewei with eyes full of pity. Master, I'm fine. This is our child. I've finally given birth to a child for you. Shuewei said with incomparable happiness. Shuewei, you've worked hard. Is this our son Ling Huang? Ha ha ha. Look, his eyes are like yours, and his mouth is like mine. Ling Xiao also carried the baby lovingly, and was filled with joy. This child was called Ling Huang, to commemorate the Eldritch world's transcendence, and to commemorate the Eldritch Master. Ling Xiao also had high hopes for him. He hoped that when he grew up, he would be able to rule the world. Father, little brother looks like me the most. Chang Sheng interjected from the side. Chang Sheng was wearing a white dress. She was tall and had grown into a young lady. She had a unique aura that was very similar to Jin Sei. However, her naive and romantic personality did not change at all. Ha ha! The surrounding people, the Reincarnation Emperor, the Flowing Time Emperor, the Old Goat, Yi Liangchen and Taoist Wuliang all laughed. Ling Huang grew up day by day. The Khanate Great Tao Constitution was born to understand the origin of the Great Tao. He was a natural-born saint, and his talent was unparalleled throughout history. His personality was very similar to Jin Sei's. He was very obedient, and did not make a fuss. Even at such a young age, he had already shown the demeanor of a gentleman. Over the years, Ling Xiao had accompanied his parents and wife. He had brought them to travel the Eldritch world and the Chaos Sea. He had witnessed this eternal and magnificent world. These were the happiest days of Ling Xiao's life. There was no pressure, no threat, only a faint sense of happiness. Just like that, 10,000 years passed. Ling Xiao still had to embark on his journey to the eternal immortal domain. Although Jin Sei and Shuewei were very reluctant to part with him, they did not stop him. They only repeatedly reminded Ling Xiao to be careful and take care of himself. Don't worry, I'll be back soon to pick you up, Ling Xiao said seriously. Faced with the reluctant gazes of the crowd, Ling Xiao also felt extremely reluctant and emotional. Go, a man's ambition is to travel the world. Ling Xiao, have a safe journey. Although Ling Zhen and the Reincarnation Emperor were reluctant to part with him, they still smiled and gave him their blessings. Until we meet again, everyone. Ling Zhao's gaze swept across his family and friends as he spoke with a smile. In the end, he abruptly turned around, and his entire body erupted with dazzling immortal light. In an instant, he shot towards the boundless sea of chaos. Yi Liangshui, the Hongjun Patriarch, and the Spacetime Tao Lord followed closely behind. With this departure, the Eldritch world would lose a domineering eternal emperor, and the eternal immortal domain would gain an invincible immortal king. There was no telling when he would return, but he could only hope for the future. Author's note. This is the end of Eternal Immortal Emperor's story. Originally, I wanted to end it here, but many readers wanted me to continue writing about the eternal immortal domains. So starting tomorrow, I'll continue to write about the eternal immortal domains. Now I just need to prepare for the new book. Thank you for your support over the past few years. See you again in the underworld. Chapter 3409. The Eternal Immortal Domains. This was the center of spacetime. It was said that the Eternal Immortal Domains consisted of 129,600 provinces, each of which spanned millions of miles. It was like a chiliocosm of its own, vast and boundless. The Qianyuan Province. The Qianyuan Province was located at the edge of the Eternal Immortal Domains, but it was a beautiful place filled with immortal mountains, great lakes and towering ancient trees. Exotic flowers and plants could be seen everywhere, and immortal light and auspicious vapors filled the air. The ruler of the Qianyuan Province was the everlasting Zhao family. The ancestor of the Zhao family was known as the Qianyuan Immortal King. He had founded the Zhao family and made it the undisputed ruler of the Qianyuan province. Countless factions, ancient clans, and sects in the Qianyuan province acknowledged their allegiance. Although the Zhao family was in decline, they still had an immortal king standing guard. A few years ago, a natural-born paragon with the potential to become an immortal king had been born into the world, shocking all of the Qianyuan province. The Immortal Ascension Plateau. This was a celestial mountain in the Qianyuan province. It was tens of thousands of feet tall and had a majestic aura. It was ancient and mysterious, especially at the peak of the mountain. It seemed to have been cut off by a sword, and a huge square surrounded by clouds appeared. Celestial light lingered around it, and a sea of clouds rose. Today, many of the top sects, aristocratic clans, and rogue cultivators of the Qianyuan province had gathered at the Immortal Ascension Plateau. The natural-born paragon of the Zhao family was going to choose his followers and go out on a journey. Being able to follow a natural-born paragon was the glory of countless geniuses, and they were all eager to be chosen. I heard that when the natural-born paragon of the Zhao family was born, strange phenomena descended from the heavens. Immortal qi spread for 30 million miles, and he was accompanied by a precious treasure. The entire Qianyuan province was shaken. Isn't that so? Why is he called a natural-born paragon? I heard that when he was born, he had the power of a paragon, and his talent was unparalleled. The Zhao family's patriarch called him the Qilin child, and he has the potential to become an immortal king in the future. The Zhao family is so lucky. I heard that their immortal king patriarch suffered a Dao injury in his early years, and is about to pass away. If that's true, then the Zhao family's position as the ruler of the Qianyuan province will be at stake. That's right. Many families with true immortals were eager to compete with the Zhao family for the position of overlord. But now, with the appearance of the Zhao family's innate sovereign, they immediately gave up. They even fought to send their holy sons and holy daughters to follow the innate sovereign. I've heard that the Zhao clan's natural-born supremacy has celestial skin and jade bones. Although he's a man, he has a peerless appearance. If I could meet him, this trip would be worth it. On the Immortal Ascension platform, the crowd discussed fervently. Many of the geniuses looked on with anticipation. Silence. Not long after, a thunderous voice exploded in the void. Boom. It was as if a dazzling immortal sun was hanging high in the sky, emitting dazzling immortal light. That everlasting and indestructible aura caused everyone to tremble and involuntarily lower their heads. It's a true immortal has descended. Someone exclaimed, his eyes filled with awe. High in the sky, an ancient immortal gate appeared. A figure with a terrifying aura stepped out from it and appeared in the sky above the Immortal Ascension platform. It was an old man with white hair and a white beard. His face was dignified, and his eyes were cold. He had an air of superiority about him. In the eternal immortal domains, only those who had reached the true immortal realm could live forever. Their lifespans were endless, and they possessed shocking battle prowess. True immortals could even establish everlasting families, occupy a sacred land, and dominate a region. Everlasting families like the Zhao family, which had immortal kings, were the rulers of a province. They ruled over the world, and all living things submitted to them. Everyone's eyes were filled with envy and awe as they looked at the true immortal. The 12 realms of cultivation were like the 12 floors of the 12 heavenly gates. Only after reaching the peak of the 12 realms could one pass the immortal tribulation and become a true immortal. However, it was extremely difficult to reach the 12th realm, let alone break through to the true immortal realm. The Zhao family's holy son is about to arrive. Everyone pay your respects. The true immortal looked down at everyone, his expression indifferent as he spoke slowly. The Zhao family's holy son is about to arrive? Everyone's body trembled, and they immediately bowed and saluted. Buzz. Immortal light flickered in the 9 heavens, and the sound of the great Tao seemed to linger. A mysterious Taoist rhyme filled the air, turning the place into an immortal realm of enlightenment. Everyone trembled. They felt an unprecedented sense of tranquility, as if their cultivation levels had risen by leaps and bounds. A figure walked out of the gate of immortality. You may all rise. A gentle and clear voice rang out. Everyone looked up at the same time. And then they were instantly stunned. He was a perfect and flawless young man. Although he was a man, he was even more handsome than the fairies of the 9 heavens. His peerless appearance made even heaven and earth pale in comparison. He was dressed in a long white robe, and immortal light swirled around him. The great Tao's fortune intertwined, and as soon as he appeared, it was as if the mountains, rivers, and veins of the earth began to boil. His figure was tall and straight, and his face was like jade. There was a faint smile on his lips, and his eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. He was extremely mysterious. Faintly, there seemed to be immortal dragons and immortal phoenixes dancing around him. All kinds of rare beasts appeared, making him look like the king of all immortals. Behind him, there were 2 beautiful maids. One was holding a sword, and the other was holding a zither. Although they were maids, they had looks that made the saintesses feel ashamed. Their figures were tall and graceful, and their skin was like jade. Their temperament was otherworldly, and they were out of this world. He was the Zhao family's holy son, born to be supreme, Zhao Hao. The moment they saw Zhao Hao, everyone's heart was filled with admiration, and their eyes were filled with extreme fanaticism. Only such a peerless figure could make these arrogant geniuses willingly follow him. After Zhao Hao appeared, he didn't say a word, but he had already subdued everyone's hearts. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the selection this time. I will be leaving the family to experience the world, and I need to choose 3 followers. Those who are willing to follow me, please step forward and tell me your names. I will choose one by one. Zhao Hao's expression was gentle, and his eyes were extremely clear. He swept his gaze across the people on the immortal ascension stage, giving them a feeling of being bathed in a spring breeze. Some people were full of confidence when they came, but now they were ashamed of their inferiority and didn't dare to step forward. Greetings to the Holy Sun. I am Tuoba Hong, the successor of the Tuoba family, and I am a half-step supreme being. I am willing to follow the Holy Sun. A burly figure, holding a heavenly halberd, stepped forward. His aura was strong and wild, and he looked like a demon god. He was like a golden mountain that had toppled a jade pillar. He knelt down on one knee in front of Zhao Hao and said seriously, Tuoba Hong? He's here too? The Tuoba family is also an everlasting family, and there are true immortals in the family. It is said that Tuoba Hong has the body of a demon immortal, and he has the potential to become a true immortal. I didn't expect him to be willing to become the Holy Sun's follower. Someone exclaimed in a low voice, his eyes filled with disbelief. Tuoba Hong's talent was extraordinary, and he was famous in the Qianyuan state. Not to mention, he was a half-step supreme being, and was only 1 step away from breaking through to the supreme being realm. The moment Tuoba Hong stepped forward, a few more geniuses stepped forward. Greetings to the Holy Sun. I am Wang Lin, a disciple of the 9 Suns divine sect, and I am at the Imperial Tao realm. I am willing to follow the Holy Sun. Greetings to the Holy Sun. I am Feng Mian, a disciple of the Feng family, and I am at the Imperial Tao realm. I am willing to follow the Holy Sun. Greetings to the Holy Sun. I am Yun Yi, a disciple of the Cloud Celestial sect, and I am at the Imperial Tao realm. I am willing to follow the Holy Sun. Those few elite geniuses were all emitting powerful auras. Their faces were cold, and there was a sharp glint in their eyes. In fact, the way they looked at one another was filled with arrogance. One genius after another stepped forward. They were all famous geniuses in the Qianyuan state, and it was an eye-opener for everyone. Greetings to the Holy Sun. I am Jian Qingmei, the successor of the Sword Pavilion, and I am a half-step supreme being. I am willing to follow the Holy Sun. At this moment, another person stepped forward. It was a valiant woman in green with an ancient sword on her back. Although she was not very beautiful, she was full of heroic spirit. Her whole body exuded a peerless sharpness, like an unsheathed immortal sword. She did not kneel to Zhao Hao, but bowed slightly. There was no reverence in her eyes when she looked at Zhao Hao. Instead, it was filled with a strong fighting spirit. She is the successor of the Sword Pavilion? It is said that the true immortal of the Sword Pavilion has reached the peak of the true immortal realm, right? It is said that it is very likely that he will break through to the immortal king realm within 10,000 years. Jian Qingmei, before Zhao Hao was born, was known as the #1 genius in the Qianyuan state. She was born with the body of a sword immortal, and her sword heart was bright. She has supreme talent in swordsmanship. She is also here? Jian Qingmei's appearance shocked everyone. The former #1 genius in the Qianyuan state was also here? Although she was only a half-step supreme being, 10 years ago, when she was still at the 11th realm, the Imperial Dao realm, she had already gone against the odds and killed supremes with her sword. When such a peerless figure appeared, even Tao Bahong was overshadowed. When they saw Tao Bahong and Jian Qingmei appear, many people who were eager to try retreated. How could they compete with these two? For a moment, everyone was silent. There were only 3 spots, and they felt that there was no hope. Greetings, Holy Son. I am willing to follow His Highness, Holy Son. I will even be your servant without any complaints. I only ask His Highness, Holy Son, to promise me one thing. Just when everyone thought that no one would come out, a figure passed through the crowd and came in front of Zhao Hao. It was a woman in white with a veil on her face. She was surrounded by immortal light. Although her face could not be seen clearly, her graceful figure had an invisible charm that spread out. When everyone saw her back, they could not help but feel their hearts skip a beat. Could it be her? Someone's heart skipped a beat, as if they had already guessed the woman's origin. Why don't you show your true face? My holy son has not chosen you yet. How dare you make conditions? The true immortal's eyes were cold as he said indifferently. His gaze fell on the woman in white. As if millions of mountains were pressing down on her, the woman in white could not help but tremble. Her forehead was full of sweat, as if she was trying her best to hold on. The pressure of a true immortal could turn heaven and earth upside down. How could a mere half-step supreme being like her withstand it? Uncle Yun, let her finish. Zhao Hao looked at the true immortal and said with a smile. The Holy Son is merciful and will not lower himself to your level. But if you dare to lie, don't blame me for killing you here. The true immortal snorted coldly and dispersed his immortal Dao pressure. The woman in white heaved a sigh of relief and looked up at Zhao Hao. Although her face was covered by a light veil, her pair of large, soul-stirring eyes seemed to contain a sky full of stars. They were dazzling and filled with a kind of delicate beauty, making people unable to help but feel pity for her. Greetings, Holy Son. I covered my face with a veil because I did not want to cause trouble. But in front of the Holy Son, I should show my true face. The woman in white smiled bitterly. Then, she reached out with her slender fingers and took off her veil. A peerless face appeared in front of everyone. The world suddenly lost its color. It was a flawless face, as if it was the masterpiece of the Creator. It was filled with exquisite beauty and was extremely beautiful. In particular, the seductive aura emitted from her body caused all the male cultivators to involuntarily look at her, unable to shift their gazes away. Even the true immortal elder in the void could not help but look at her a few more times. It's her? After taking off her veil, someone immediately recognized her identity. Morong Inshu. It could be said that this name was known by everyone in the entire Qianyuan province. Morong Inshu, the #1 beauty of the Qianyuan state. She was once the successor of the Murong family. Not only was she peerless, but she also had unparalleled talent. The Murong family was an everlasting family with a true immortal overseeing it. 10 years ago, Murong Inshue caught the eye of the young master of the Azure Dragon Immortal sect in the Azure Dragon state. The Azure Dragon Immortal sect was the ruler of the Azure Dragon state, and also had an immortal king overseeing it. However, the young master of the Azure Dragon Immortal sect was notorious. He cultivated an evil immortal art that harvested yang to nourish yin. Countless women were harmed by him. Morong Inshue was naturally seductive. One could imagine how crazy the young master of the Azure Dragon Immortal sect would be when he saw her. Morong Inshue naturally did not comply. She even chased away the messenger sent by the Azure Dragon Immortal sect. In the end, 10 years ago, the Immortal King Patriarch of the Azure Dragon Immortal sect personally took action and killed everyone in the Morong family. When the Immortal King of the Zhao family arrived, it was already too late. Although he fought a great battle with the immortal king of the Azure Dragon Immortal sect, he was unable to do anything to the other party and retreated. This matter shook the entire Qianyuan state. However, for some unknown reason, the Morong family was completely annihilated, and Morong Inshua escaped. There was no news of her for 10 years. Who would have thought that Morong Inshua would appear here and want to become Zhao Hao's follower? Successor, she's Morong Inshua. 10 years ago, the Morong family was completely annihilated by the Azure Dragon Immortal sect. So you can't accept her. In the void, the true immortal transmitted his voice to Zhao Hao and told him about the Morong family. I see. Zhao Hao nodded. If that was the case, then Morong Inshua's condition was self-evident. It was nothing more than revenge for the Morong family. Morong Inshua, I can't agree to your condition. Zhao Hao looked at Morong Inshua and said indifferently. Although he sympathized with Morong Inshua's situation, he was the successor of the Zhao family. He could not ignore the safety of the Zhao family. The Zhao family was currently facing internal and external troubles. When news of the old ancestors' Dao injury spread, many people in the Qianyuan state were ready to make a move, let alone the Azure Dragon Immortal sect. Provoking the Azure Dragon Immortal sect at this time was no different from death. Morong Inshua's eyes dimmed, but she still showed a trace of stubbornness and said, Lord Successor, you haven't heard my condition. I believe you'll agree to it. I won't agree to any condition. Zhao Hao smiled indifferently and shook his head. Morong Inshua's condition was only the Morong family's hidden treasure. However, Zhao Hao really did not care about a mere true immortal's hidden treasure. Morong Inshua transmitted her voice to Zhao Hao. When he heard Morong Inshua's words, Zhao Hao's body shook and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. Are you serious? If there's even the slightest falsehood, let me die without a burial place. Morong Inshua said resolutely. If what you've said is true, when it's within my power, I'll naturally avenge you. However, I don't want anyone to lie to me. Zhao Hao transmitted his voice. Morong Inshua did not say anything, but her resolute gaze proved everything. All right. Morong Inshua, from today onwards, you're my follower. Zhao Hao pondered for a moment and said indifferently. What? Everyone was in an uproar. They originally thought that Zhao Hao would definitely reject Morong Inshua, but they never thought that Zhao Hao would actually agree. Morong Inshua was such a big trouble that no one in the entire Qianyuan province dared to touch, but Zhao Hao actually dared to accept her? Was he not afraid that the Azure Dragon Immortal sect would cause trouble for the Zhao family? Or did Zhao Hao take a fancy to Morong Inshua's beauty? They could not figure it out. No, the true immortal also hurriedly dissuaded him. Uncle Yin, don't worry. I naturally have my own considerations for accepting Morong Inshua. I won't harm the Zhao family's interests. I'll personally talk to the patriarch about this matter. I believe that he'll definitely agree. Zhao Hao said patiently. You've been very opinionated since you were young. Since that's the case, I won't persuade you anymore. I hope that you'll still listen to the patriarch's opinion on this matter. The true immortal sighed softly. Don't worry. Zhao Hao smiled indifferently. Then his gaze fell on Tuoba Hong and Jian Qingmei. Tuoba Hong, Jian Qingmei, you'll be my second and third followers. Now the three of you can follow me back to the Zhao family. Zhao Hao said indifferently. It was not surprising that Tuoba Hong would follow him. After all, the Tuoba family had always been the most loyal followers of the Zhao family. As for Jian Qingmei, the former #1 genius of the Qianyuan province, she was following him. He could tell from her gaze that she wanted to defeat him, and was unwilling to accept it. However, Zhao Hao was confident that he could make them truly submit. After Zhao Hao finished speaking, the true immortal waved his sleeve and immediately swept up Morong Inshua, Tuoba Hong, and Jian Qingmei. Together with Zhao Hao, they entered the immortal sect and returned to the Zhao family. As for the geniuses on the immortal ascension stage, they naturally beat their chests and stamped their feet in regret. Although they knew that this would happen, they still felt extremely regretful. Morong Inshua had actually become Zhao Hao's follower. If this news spread, it would probably shake the entire Qianyuan province. At that time, even the Azure Dragon Immortal sect in the Azure Dragon province would be alarmed. There was going to be a storm in the Qianyuan province. P.S. The extras have officially started. However, I've been focusing on preparing the new book recently. The time for the extras to be updated is not fixed. Everyone can read it once in a while. The extras will give everyone a perfect ending. Chapter 34:10. Zhao Family. The immortal mountains in Pure Lands within a radius of 1,000,000 li were all enveloped by a huge formation barrier. This was the core area of the Zhao family, and only the core clansmen could live here. The immortal mountains were beautiful and filled with resplendent immortal light. Auspicious vapors rose, multicolored light shot out in tens of thousands of zhang, and there were towering ancient trees everywhere. In the mountain forest, immortal birds and auspicious beasts ran about, and all kinds of strange flowers and herbs could be seen everywhere. The void was filled with a mysterious Dao aura. This was the Dao field of an immortal king, and also the ancestral land of a long-life family that had been passed down for countless years. Therefore, this place was also contaminated with a trace of eternal heavenly Dao aura, mysterious and unfathomable. The people who lived here, even if they didn't break through to the true immortal realm, still had a long lifespan. Tuoba Yi, Jian Qingmei, and Morong Inshua followed Zhao Hao to an immortal mountain. Their eyes were filled with curiosity. This was especially true for Tuoba Yi and Jian Qingmei. Although they also came from a long-life family, and there were true immortals overseeing the sect and clan, they had never seen such an immortal mountain in Pure Land filled with Dao aura. Their eyes were filled with shock. This was the foundation of a top long-life family. With an immortal king establishing a clan, it far surpassed ordinary long-life families. Zhao Hao lived alone in an immortal mountain. There were many pavilions and palaces on the immortal mountain, and there was a scenery every 10 steps. It looked incomparably mysterious. Countless beautiful maids, each of them lithe and graceful, were cultivation geniuses in the outside world. But here, they could only serve as ordinary maids, serving Zhao Hao's daily life. The three of you can stay here for now. After a while, I will leave the family to train. Just follow me. Zhao Hao said slowly to the three of them, and then indicated for the maids to bring them to find a place to stay. Zhao Hao left the immortal mountain to find the old ancestor of the Zhao family. Ever since the Zhao family's immortal king ancestor was injured 10 years ago, he had been in seclusion to heal his injuries. In the Zhao family, even if the Zhao family's patriarch wanted to see the immortal king ancestor, he had to report in advance. Only Zhao Hao could see the immortal king ancestor at any time without any restrictions. From this, one could see Zhao Hao's status in the Zhao family. Whoosh! Zhao Hao turned into a divine rainbow and soared into the sky, directly arriving at the peak of a floating immortal mountain above the 9 heavens. At the peak of the celestial mountain, light shone resplendently. A sea of clouds rose, and mysterious celestial light lingered. It looked incomparably mysterious. A jade talisman appeared in the palm of Zhao Hao's hand. The jade talisman was activated by him, emitting a dazzling light. Then, an ancient immortal gate appeared in the sea of clouds. Zhao Hao took a step forward and entered the immortal gate. Inside the gate of immortality was a mysterious space. Here the source of the great Tao interweaved, immortal light lingered, and auspicious energy rose. In the void, there seemed to be golden lotuses blooming, ancient divine beasts, and the mysterious scene of all creatures praying. At the center of the phenomenon sat an old man with white hair and a beard. The old man sat there with his legs crossed. His face was calm and his eyes were slightly closed. His entire body was exuding an ethereal and mysterious Taoist rhyme. He looked like a very ordinary old man, but sometimes he looked like the ruler of all living beings, the king of immortals who was worshipped by all living beings. He was the Zhao family's celestial king patriarch, Zhao Yunyang. How you've come? An ancient and weathered voice resounded. The celestial king patriarch slowly opened his eyes. His eyes seemed to contain the sun, moon, and stars, as well as the mysterious scene of the birth and death of the world. His gaze fell on Zhao Hao, but there was a hint of benevolence and gentleness in it. Grandson greets the patriarch. Zhao Hao respectfully bowed to the celestial king patriarch. Rise. This time, you went to the immortal ascension platform to choose your followers. Did you choose anyone suitable? The The celestial king patriarch smiled faintly. With a wave of his sleeve, Zhao Hao immediately stood up, reporting to the patriarch. This time, his grandson had chosen a total of 3 followers. One is Tuoba Yi of the Tuoba family, one is the successor of the Sword Pavilion, Jian Qingmei, and the last one is Morong Inxue of the Morong family. Zhao Hao did not hide anything and recounted everything that had happened on the Immortal Ascension platform. Tuoba Yi has the demon immortal body, and has the potential to become a true immortal. Jian Qingmei has the natural sword body and the heart of the sword. She also has the potential to become a true immortal. They have the qualifications to be your followers. However, Morong Inxue, can you tell me why you chose him? The celestial king patriarch's eyes flashed, and he smiled faintly. Naturally, he knew about Tuoba Yi and Jian Qingmei. As for Morong Inxue's identity, he knew better than anyone else. Reporting to the patriarch, I didn't want to accept Morong Inxue. I didn't want to bring trouble to the Zhao family. However, Morong Inxue told me that she knows of an emperor-grade celestial herb in Hanging Sword Mountain. I want to go to the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain to find an emperor-grade celestial herb and bring it back to heal you, Zhao Hao said earnestly. The reason he was willing to accept Morong Inxue was because Morong Inxue had paid an unbearable price and temptation. An emperor-grade celestial herb. In the eternal immortal domains, only 1 in 10,000 could be called an immortal herb. They contain the fragments of the eternal heavenly Tao's laws, and were extremely precious. However, most of the immortal herbs in the eternal immortal domains were inferior and mediocre grade. Superior and supreme grade immortal herbs were extremely rare. As for king grade immortal herbs, they could only be found in secret realms, forbidden lands, and other treasured lands. As for emperor grade immortal herbs, they were priceless treasures. Legend had it that emperor grade immortal herbs contained the complete laws of the eternal heavenly Tao. They could steal the fortunes of heaven and earth, and allow celestial kings to advance further. Even celestial emperors would be tempted by an emperor-grade immortal herb, let alone a supreme celestial king. Therefore, Zhao Yunyang couldn't help but tremble when he heard the words, emperor-grade immortal herb. His eyes widened in shock. Hanging Sword Mountain's secret realm? Judging by the time, the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain is about to open. I've read about it in some ancient records. A long time ago, an immortal emperor died on the Hanging Sword Mountain. The immortal emperor's laws evolved into the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret realm, and gave birth to an emperor-grade immortal herb. However, no one has been able to obtain the emperor-grade immortal herb for countless years. If what Morong Inxue said is true, does it mean that emperor-grade immortal herbs really exist? Zhao Yunyang stood up and slowly paced back and forth. His eyes were filled with deep thought. If an emperor-grade immortal herb really appeared, even celestial kings would fight for it. However, the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain was extremely unique. It contained mysterious immortal emperor laws that restricted entry to those above the true immortal realm. Only those below the true immortal realm were allowed to enter. Ancestor, Morong Inxue's words don't seem to be false. Moreover, lying to me won't do her any good. After all, she wants me to avenge her. Therefore, I'd like to make a trip to the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain. If I can find an emperor-grade immortal herb, not only will you be able to recover from your injuries, but you might even advance further. Zhao Hao said earnestly. You're a good child, but how difficult would it be to advance further? You're only a half-step supreme now. I'm a little worried about you going to the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain. Zhao Yunyang's gaze was extremely gentle as he looked deeply into Zhao Hao's eyes. Zhao Hao was an innate paragon. The moment he was born, he was already at the peak of the Supreme Being realm. He was extremely powerful. However, in order to let him build a solid foundation so that he could break through to the Immortal King realm in the future, or even higher realms, Zhao Yunyang directly sealed all of his cultivation, and made him cultivate from the beginning. There were 12 realms below the true immortal realm in the eternal immortal realm. They were also known as the 12 heavens of rebirth, and the 12 steps of immortal ascension. They were the Qi refinement realm, foundation establishment realm, golden core realm, nascent soul realm, soul transformation realm, void refinement realm, Body Integration Realm, Mahayana Realm, Tribulation Transcendence Realm, Celestial Realm, Imperial Dao Realm, and Supreme Realm. Even though Zhao Hao's cultivation had been sealed, and he had to cultivate from the Qi refining realm, his talent was unparalleled and heaven-defying. In just a few decades, he had cultivated back to half-step Supreme. Ancestor, although I'm a half-step Supreme, ordinary Supremes are no match for me. Not to mention, I have the Origin Ancient Seal. Zhao Hao smiled faintly. His palm glowed with immortal light as an ancient and mysterious seal appeared. It was Zhao Hao's lifelong treasure, which Zhao Yunyang called the Origin Ancient Seal. Not only was the ancient seal made of mysterious and precious materials, but it was also stained with the origin laws of the eternal heavenly way. In Zhao Yunyang's opinion, the Origin Ancient Seal might even evolve into an immortal emperor weapon. It was very likely to be Zhao Hao's ultimate treasure. Your Origin Ancient Seal is extremely precious. You can't reveal it easily, and you can't let anyone see it. Do you understand? You have to kill anyone who sees him. Zhao Yunyang said with a serious expression. This lifetime treasure had the potential to become a Tao-confirming treasure in the future. Even immortal kings would be incomparably moved after seeing it. Therefore, in the entire Zhao clan, many people knew that Zhao Hao had a lifelong treasure, but only Zhao Hao and Zhao Yunyang had seen the Origin Ancient Seal. Even Zhao Hao's parents had not seen it. Ancestor, I understand. Zhao Hao nodded his head seriously. There's one more thing. You must pay attention to your safety. Hanging Sword Mountain is located between Qianyuan State, Azure Dragon State, and Baiming State. But just 2 days ago, the immortal king ancestor of the Great Ming Immortal Kingdom of Baiming State was killed. Zhao Yunyang said slowly. What? Zhao Hao's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Immortal kings had endless lifespans, and their primordial spirits were entrusted with the eternal heavenly way. It could be said that they were immortal. Even immortal kings of the same realm could not kill immortal kings, unless they had heaven-defying divine abilities or powerful immortal weapons. It was said that the immortal king ancestor of the Great Ming Immortal Kingdom of Baiming State was similar to Zhao Yunyang in strength. He was only slightly weaker than the immortal king of Azure Dragon State. Could it be that a quasi-emperor level expert made a move? Zhao Hao asked. With the strength and trump cards of that immortal king ancestor, even a 9th heaven immortal king expert would find it difficult to kill him. Only a quasi-emperor could easily kill him. No. It is said that the person who killed the Great Ming Immortal King was also an Immortal King expert. That Immortal King expert seemed to have come from the Primal Chaos Sea. For some reason he clashed with the Great Ming Immortal King, and then a shocking battle broke out. The Great Ming Immortal King was killed by him. Zhao Yunyang's eyes were filled with emotion and reverence. To be able to easily kill the Great Ming Immortal King, if he wanted to deal with him and the Azure Dragon Immortal King, it wouldn't be difficult. Therefore, Zhao Yunyang and the Azure Dragon Immortal King had been paying attention to every movement in the Baiming State during this period of time. They were afraid that the nameless Immortal King would come to the Qianyuan State and the Azure Dragon State. Therefore, even if the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect knew that Zhao Hao had taken Murong Yinshuan, they probably wouldn't have the time to come to the Zhao family to denounce them. From the Primal Chaos Sea? The Primal Chaos Sea is boundless and is known as the Land of Exile. The living beings there are incomparably weak, like ants. Is there actually an Immortal King expert? Zhao Hao was also incomparably shocked. He could vaguely feel that the Qianyuan State was about to enter an eventful period. He felt a sense of urgency in his heart. At this time, he had to go to the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain to look for the Emperor-grade celestial medicine. Only when the Patriarch's injuries were healed and his cultivation base increased greatly would he have the strength to protect the Zhao family and Zhao Hao. Although the Primal Chaos Sea is known as the Land of Exile, there are probably many immortal kings in it. That nameless immortal king killed the Great Ming Immortal King. I'm afraid he has caused a lot of trouble. After all, the Great Ming Immortal King is a member of the Truth Celestial Court. I'm afraid the Truth Celestial Court won't let this matter rest. When he mentioned the Truth Celestial Court, Zhao Yunyang's eyes were filled with deep reverence. The Truth Celestial Court was the supreme celestial court founded by the Truth Celestial Emperor. It was the true ruler of thousands of provinces. In name, the Qianyuan state and the Azure Dragon state were also under the rule of the Truth Celestial Court. No matter what, I'm afraid this land is no longer peaceful. You can go to the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain, but you must be careful. If you encounter any danger, crush the immortal talisman that the Patriarch gave you and the Patriarch will come. Zhao Yunyang said seriously to Zhao Hao. Yes, Patriarch. Zhao Hao nodded respectfully. Very good. Go. Experts kill their way out of mountains of corpses and seas of blood. It will be difficult for you to become a true expert if you continue to be under my protection. This is your experience and your path to becoming an expert. You will have to rely on yourself from now on. Zhao Yunyang looked at Zhao Hao with an expectant gaze. He had already regarded Zhao Hao as the hope of the Zhao clan. The Zhao clan now looked incomparably peaceful, but there were turbulent undercurrents. Those true immortal experts of the Zhao clan probably had no hope of breaking through to the immortal king realm in this lifetime. However, Zhao Hao was different. Zhao Hao had the potential to become an immortal king, and could even go further than Zhao Yunyang. Zhao Yunyang had placed endless expectations on him. Yes, Patriarch. I will remember it. Zhao Hao nodded seriously. Then he turned around and left, returning to the immortal mountain where he lived. Did the Patriarch agree to let you take Morong In Xuan? On the immortal mountain, the true immortal Zhao Hao called Uncle Yun was waiting for Zhao Hao. When he saw Zhao Hao return, he asked. That's right. I'm going to the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain with Morong In Xue. There is hope for the Patriarch's cultivation to recover, and even improve further. Zhao Hao said slowly. Is that so? Good. I'll go with you. A sharp light flashed in Uncle Yun's eyes as he nodded deeply. He understood why Zhao Hao wanted to take Morong In Xuan. If he could heal the Patriarch's injuries and even improve the Patriarch's cultivation, not to mention taking Morong In Xuan, even if he had to become the enemy of the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect, or even start a war, what was the big deal? Thank you, Uncle Yun, Zhao Hao said with a smile. Uncle Yun was loyal to the Patriarch, and was sent by the Patriarch to protect Zhao Hao. He could be said to have watched Zhao Hao grow up with his own eyes, so his feelings for Zhao Hao were not ordinary. Zhao Hao naturally respected Uncle Yun, so he didn't hide anything from him. Before going to the Hanging Sword Mountain, I have to make some preparations, Zhao Hao said with a smile, then returned to his residence. After Zhao Hao set up several barriers, he took out the Origin Source Ancient Seal. He injected his magic power, and the Origin Source Ancient Seal trembled slightly. An incomparably illusory figure seemed to appear within it. Second Senior, how is my trip to the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain going? Zhao Hao asked. The Origin Source Ancient Seal was his lifelong treasure, but he did not expect that the Origin Source Ancient Seal would have an incomparably mysterious artifact spirit that had gradually awakened in recent years. However, the artifact spirit seemed to be a little confused. Other than vaguely remembering that his surname was Second, he could not remember anything else. However, because the Origin Source Ancient Seal was tainted with the aura of the Eternal Heaven Way, the artifact spirit was able to divine Zhao Hao's fortune. Relying on the artifact spirit's divination, Zhao Hao had avoided several calamities. Buzz. The Origin Source Ancient Seal trembled slightly, flickering with flickering light. The artifact spirit seemed to be divining. After a while, a voice was heard. This trip is a great omen, and there may even be a bloody disaster. However, you can turn misfortune into blessings, and with the help of a benefactor, you will be able to survive. Zhao Hao frowned slightly. A great omen? Turn misfortune into blessings? It seems that this trip to the Hanging Sword Mountain is not as simple as I thought. Zhao Hao became more cautious. Zhao Hao stored the various pills, weapons, talismans, and formation discs that he had prepared over the years. He even brought along some powerful one-time use supreme treasures from the clan's vault. For this trip to Hanging Sword Mountain, Zhao Hao could be said to have made ample preparations. 3 days later, a void treasure ship stopped in the air above the Zhao family. Many genius disciples from the Zhao clan boarded the void treasure ship. They were preparing to head to the Two World Mountains secret zone to train under Uncle Yun's lead. The Two-World Mountains secret zone opened once every 10,000 years. The Great Ming Celestial Empire, the Zhao clan, and the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect were the rulers of the three prefectures. They would send their disciples to train in the secret zone. There were many natural treasures and supreme celestial herbs in the Two-World Mountains secret zone. Therefore, there were many conflicts between the three great forces every time they went to train in the secret zone. Although Zhao Hao was going to look for emperor-grade celestial herbs, he did not want to attract any attention since he was among the disciples. I heard that there's a sword Immortal Jade Annulus in the Hanging Sword Mountain. Not only does it contain the supreme sword Dao left behind by the Sword Immortal, but it also allows one to spar with the Sword Immortal. I'd like to see the sword Immortal Jade Annulus. Jian Qingmei's eyes were filled with eagerness and a strong will to fight. Tuoba Yi had also heard of the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret zone, but he had never entered it before. He was also excited to be able to go with Zhao Hao. Murong Inxue was the only one who had attracted a lot of attention even though she had covered her face with a veil. There was deep worry in her eyes. "What are you worried about?" Zhao Hao asked. "The young master of the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect will most likely head to the secret zone of the Hanging Sword Mountain." Murong Inxue hesitated. "Don't worry. He won't dare to do anything to you. You're mine now. If he's really reckless, I might not be able to defeat a celestial king, but I can easily kill the young master of the Azure Dragon sect." Zhao Hao said indifferently. "Thank you, Holy Son. I'll definitely do my best to help you find the celestial herbs." There was a trace of gratitude in Murong Inxue's eyes as she said seriously. "I hope so." Zhao Hao looked into the distance. There, the mountain range was undulating, exuding an ancient and desolate aura. There seemed to be an ancient sword suspended in the sky. The ancient sword was an incomparably huge celestial mountain, suspended high in the sky. Mist was rising, and celestial light shone brightly. It looked mysterious and unfathomable. Even from far away, one could feel a strong sword intent rushing towards them. Many people with weak willpower could not help but tremble and turn pale. They had arrived at the Hanging Sword Mountain. P.S. Muyu's new book, Righteous Eldest Senior Brother, has been released at the same time on Qidian Reading and QQ Reading. If you have time, you can check it out. It's a flirtatious and funny story. I hope you like it. The Summit. Chapter 34:11. The ancient immortal mountain that looked like a sword was the Hanging Sword Mountain. From afar, the Hanging Sword Mountain looked like it was hanging above the 9 heavens. It exuded an extremely powerful sword chi that could even kill a true immortal. The secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain was rumored to be a mysterious world formed by the body of an immortal emperor after his death. In the past, there were many experts who wanted to enter the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain to search for the immortal emperor's inheritance. However, most of them failed. There were even immortal kings who wanted to enter the secret realm directly. However, they were severely injured by the sword chi and had to flee with injuries. As time passed, although the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain would produce many treasures, no experts above the true immortal realm dared to have any ideas about the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. Every time the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain opened, the various forces would send experts below the true immortal realm to enter. "Is that the Hanging Sword Mountain? It's really extraordinary." Feeling the powerful sword chi, Jian Qingmei's eyes revealed a hint of eagerness. Perhaps she could obtain a powerful sword inheritance in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. Moreover, those who entered the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain this time were all monstrous geniuses from the 3 continents. She would have plenty of opportunities to test her sword. Swoosh! The Void Treasure Ship landed on the Hanging Sword Mountain. Around the Hanging Sword Mountain, there was a sea of clouds and immortal light lingered. Vast sword chi rose. Those who did not have a strong Dao heart would find it difficult to move. In front of everyone, there seemed to be a sword chi that pierced through the heavens and earth. An illusory door appeared. When the Zhao family arrived, they realized that the experts from the Northern Bright Continent and Azure Dragon Continent had also arrived. The Northern Bright Continent was led by the Daming Immortal Empire, while the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect, led by the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect. Other than that, There were also some monstrous geniuses and rogue cultivators from the two continents. However, they were all led by the two major forces. Their leader was also a true immortal. They exchanged glances with one another, their expressions incomparably cold. The three continents were neighbors and their relationship was not good to begin with. Hence, they did not even bother to exchange greetings. Zhao Hao's eyes sharpened as he immediately noticed two figures standing out among the Baiming continent and the Zonglong continent, emitting powerful auras. In the Baiming region, there was a refined young man in a dragon robe and a jade crown. He had a faint smile on his face and his eyes were deep. However, Zhao Hao could sense the lofty aura emanating from his body. It was as if a true immortal was looking down on all living beings. There was a very subtle sense of alienation. This person was very proud in his bones, and was not as peaceful as he looked on the surface. In the Azure Dragon region, there was a young man who looked incomparably handsome. He wore a black dragon robe and looked a little sick. His face was incomparably evil, and his eyes were filled with an aggressive light, which made people feel very uncomfortable when they looked at him. That man with the jade crown is the crown prince of the great Ming Immortal Empire, Zhu Qizong. The person from the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect is the young master of the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect, Mu Yinfeng. Uncle Yun's voice entered Zhao Hao's ears as he introduced the two people to him. While Zhao Hao was observing Zhu Qizong and Mu Yinfeng, they were also observing Zhao Hao. Zhu Qizong smiled at Zhao Hao as if he was expressing goodwill. Mu Yinfeng, on the other hand, didn't look so friendly. He looked at Zhao Hao with disdain before his gaze landed on Murong Yinxue. His eyes lit up. Murong Yinxue? Are you here to seek refuge with this young master? Get over here. If you serve this young master well, this young master might let you be my concubine. Mu Yinfeng stared at Murong Yinxue unscrupulously and sneered. You don't even think about it. Murong Yinshue's face was incomparably cold as she revealed an expression of incomparable hatred. It was because of Mu Yinfeng that her Murong family was annihilated. Now she was the only one left. If it wasn't for the hatred in her heart, she would have chosen to commit suicide long ago. Now that she saw Mu Yinfeng, it could be said that she was enraged when she saw her enemy. Bitch. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Do you think that this pretty boy can protect you? He's only a half-step supreme being. If I want to kill him, it'll be as easy as crushing an ant. Mu Yinfeng sneered, then looked at Zhao Hao provocatively. Zhao Hao's expression was very calm. He wasn't angered by Mu Yinfeng's provocation. You're Mu Yinfeng? Murong Yinxue is now my woman. If you don't want to die, then get lost. Don't be an eyesore in front of me. Zhao Hao said indifferently. Your woman? Haha. Zhao Hao, you dare to steal my woman? You're dead. I swear, once we reach the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain, I'll be the first to kill you. Mu Yinfeng sneered as his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Is that so? Then let's see who dies first. Zhao Hao said indifferently. Although Zhu Qizong and Mu Yinfeng's cultivation were both at the 9th level of the Supreme Being realm, they probably wanted to use the fortune and opportunity in the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain to break through to the true immortal realm. However, Zhao Hao didn't care about the 9th level of the Supreme Being realm. When he was born, he already had the cultivation of the Supreme Being realm. His strength was extremely heaven-defying. Although he had been recultivating all these years, it wasn't like he hadn't killed Supreme Being realm experts before. Uncle Yun and the true immortal from the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect looked on coldly. They didn't stop Zhao Hao and Mu Yinfeng from exchanging words. Although the Zhao family and the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect weren't mortal enemies, they weren't friends either. If there was a chance, they wouldn't hesitate to kill each other. Zhao Hao believed that before Mu Yinfeng came, the people from the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect had warned him to kill Zhu Qizong and Zhao Hao if there was a chance. After all, the three of them were the successors of the three immortal king families. If they died in the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain, it would be a great loss. Rumble. In front of them, the illusory light gate became more solid. Bright immortal light rose and lightning flashed. An ancient and mysterious aura gushed out. In the ancient light gate, there was a strange distortion of the void energy. Various mysterious phenomena vaguely appeared as though it led to an unknown space. The secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain has opened. The 3 true immortal realm experts and the 3 forces couldn't help but tremble. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. When we enter the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain, according to the token that I gave you, Jian Qingmei and Tuoba Yi will be the leaders. Quickly gather and search for opportunities. Morong Inshue and I have some matters to attend to. We'll look for you after we're done. Zhao Hao transmitted his voice to Tuoba Yi, Jian Qingmei, and the other genius disciples of the Zhao family. Yes. Everyone responded in unison. Wait a moment. Hold my hand tightly. Zhao Hao extended his hand toward Morong Inshue. His eyes were clear and there were no distracting thoughts in them. There was a mysterious rune in his palm that could lock him and Morong Inshue together. They wouldn't be restricted by the teleportation formation. Zhao Hao needed Morong Inshue to lead him to the Emperor-grade celestial herb. Therefore, he asked the old ancestor to use a great ability to bind him and Morong Inshue together. Yes. Morong Inshue's face turned red. However, she still placed her delicate hand in Zhao Hao's hand. Bitch. I swear that you'll die. Seeing this scene, Mu Yinfeng was even more furious. His eyes revealed an incomparably crazy killing intent. If it weren't for the Zhao family's true immortal realm expert, he would have attacked Zhao Hao long ago. After all, the strength of a true immortal realm expert was extremely terrifying. It was easy for them to kill a supreme being expert. Even the true immortal of the Azure Dragon Immortal sect would find it difficult to protect him. However, Mu Yinfeng swore in his heart that he would kill Zhao Hao and Morong Inshue. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Zhu Qizong led the geniuses of the Great Radiance Immortal Empire and transformed into streams of light, flying into the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. Mu Yinfeng looked at Zhao Hao and Morong Inshue threateningly, before he led the people of the Azure Dragon Immortal sect into the light door. Let's go. Zhao Hao grabbed Morong Inshue's hand and stepped into the void as they entered the light door. Boom. Before their eyes was an expanse of resplendent and dazzling immortal light. Spatial torrents surged violently and interweaved with each other in a strange trajectory. If it wasn't for the protection of the immortal light, even Zhao Hao and Morong Inshue would have been torn into pieces by those spatial torrents. The strange scene in front of them only lasted for a moment. When the scene in front of Zhao Hao and Morong Inshue became incomparably clear, they appeared in an unfamiliar space. In front of them was a barren mountain range that stretched for hundreds of thousands of miles. They couldn't see the end of it. There were towering ancient trees everywhere. Although the immortal qi here was incomparably dense, it was filled with an incomparably ancient aura. It was as if no one had been here for countless years. Other than Zhao Hao and Morong Inshue, Zhao Hao sensed that there wasn't a single person within hundreds of thousands of miles. Roar! Just when Zhao Hao and Morong Inshue were still investigating their surroundings, a furious roar resounded and shook the void in all directions. A huge crimson tiger with a pair of wings on its back that was shrouded in flames rushed out from the forest. Its eyes were ferocious and cold as it pounced toward Zhao Hao and Morong Inshue. You're courting death. Zhao Hao's eyes turned cold as a terrifying aura of blood qi erupted from his body. Endless chaotic light rose as he suddenly threw a punch. It was as if a mysterious world had been opened up from the chaos. The unparalleled chaotic fist seal landed directly on the crimson tiger. A mournful cry rang out. The crimson tiger originally possessed strength comparable to a supreme being. However, it was instantly killed by Zhao Hao's punch. It exploded into a bloody mist, and even its primordial spirit was reduced to dust. So powerful! Morong Inshue exclaimed. Her eyes were filled with astonishment. Although she knew that Zhao Hao was an innate supreme being, Zhao Hao's current strength was only at the half-step supreme being realm. Previously, she still had her doubts. In fact, she was even more worried when she saw Mu Yinfeng. However, now that she saw Zhao Hao killing a ferocious beast comparable to a supreme being with a casual punch, she was instantly shocked. It seemed like Zhao Hao was far stronger than she had imagined. Let's go. The Hanging Sword Mountain's secret territory isn't that big. Where are the Emperor-grade celestial herbs? Zhao Hao pulled Morong Inshue along as they turned into a ray of light and flew into the distance. Behind them, the bloody stench left behind by the Crimson Tiger's death had attracted a large number of ferocious beasts. They rushed out from the surrounding forest and let out earth-shattering roars. My father entered the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret territory the last time it opened. He passed through a valley and entered a secluded cave abode. There was a celestial formation there, and the emperor-grade celestial herb was inside. Morong Inshue quickly explained. She knew that if her father had discovered the emperor-grade celestial herb, others might have discovered it as well. Therefore, she and Zhao Hao had to hurry up and find the emperor-grade celestial herb first. You lead the way. Zhao Hao brought Morong Inshue with him as they traveled through the mountains like two bolts of lightning. There were many powerful ferocious beasts in the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret territory. It could be said that danger lurked everywhere. Rumor had it that even immortal beasts roamed the place. With their current strength, they might be able to put up a fight against the ferocious beasts. However, if they encountered an immortal beast comparable to a true celestial, they might not even be able to escape. Therefore, both of them concealed their auras and flew carefully. Morong Inshue guided Zhao Hao according to her memories. It did not take long for them to find the valley her father had come to in the past. There's a mirror lake in front of the valley. There are two mountain peaks that look like broken swords, and there are red maple trees growing on the mountain peaks. That's right, it's that valley. Morong Inshue's eyes lit up as she pointed at the valley in front of them. Alright. Gu Chongqing instantly teleported with Morong Inshue and landed in the valley. Hundreds of flowers were blooming in the valley. The scenery was beautiful. However, the flowers and plants were very ordinary. There was nothing special about them. Even if someone passed by, they would not pay much attention to them. Morong Inshue led the way as the two of them walked into the valley. The valley was longer than they had expected. They walked to the end of the valley and passed through the Line Canyon. Finally, they saw a cave that led to the belly of the mountain. There was an underground river flowing out from the cave. They entered the cave and walked against the underground river. As they made their way to the belly of the mountain, the belly of the mountain was getting darker. However, there was a faint light flickering in front of them. That light should be the light of the immortal formation. Let's go quickly. The emperor-grade immortal herb is hidden inside. Morong Inshue's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. Immortal formation? Zhao Hao's eyes flashed. Although Morong Inshue said that it was the light of the immortal formation, he felt uneasy for some reason. The faint light made him feel as if it was the eye of some powerful creature. It made his hair stand on end. However, since they had already come this far, Zhao Hao still chose to check it out first. They walked toward the faint light. The surroundings were extremely quiet. Only the sound of the underground river could be heard clearly. After walking for an unknown amount of time, the faint light gradually became clear. A huge underground cave appeared in front of them. The light was misty with immortal qi. It looked very strange as it enveloped the underground cave. There seemed to be a mysterious immortal herb in the underground cave. It was enshrouded in immortal light and mist. They could smell its fragrance even through the immortal formation. Saint, that's the emperor-grade immortal herb. Morong Inshue took a deep breath and pointed at the mysterious immortal herb in the immortal formation. Zhao Hao nodded slowly. Morong Inshue was right. It was indeed an emperor-grade immortal herb. An emperor-grade immortal herb was created by heaven and earth. It contained the eternal heavenly Tao and would emit 10 rays of immortal light. The immortal herb in front of them had 10 rays of immortal light. It was undoubtedly an emperor-grade immortal herb. Back then, my father wanted to break this immortal formation but failed. That was why he left with regrets. I believe that the saint will have a way to break this immortal formation. Morong Inshue looked at Zhao Hao and said, "Let me try." Zhao Hao did not act rashly. Instead, he carefully observed the immortal formation in front of him. The immortal formation formed a transparent barrier that enveloped the entire cave. The immortal light was enshrouded in mist and looked flawless. Ordinary people would not be able to find a way to break this immortal formation. Light flashed in Zhao Hao's palm and the Origin Ancient Seal appeared. The Origin Ancient Seal also contained the eternal heavenly Tao origin. It was extremely powerful and could break all techniques with a single seal. Although the immortal formation in front of him was powerful, It could not withstand the power of the Origin Ancient Seal. Boom. Zhao Hao's eyes flashed. He raised the Origin Ancient Seal and slammed it down on the Immortal Formation. The Immortal Formation shook violently. Dazzling runes appeared and shattered continuously. The entire Immortal Formation seemed like it would collapse at any moment. The earth quaked and the mountains shook. Boom. 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 Zhao Hao raised the Origin Ancient Seal and slammed it down on the Immortal Formation. The Immortal Formation shook continuously. The runes shattered and the light dimmed. In the end, it shattered with a loud bang. So fast. Morong Inshue sucked in a breath of cold air. Her eyes were filled with shock. Although she did not recognize the Origin Ancient Seal, she could vaguely guess that the Origin Ancient Seal in Zhao Hao's hand was Zhao Hao's legendary lifetime treasure. Back then, her father, who was a 9th-level Supreme Being, could not break the Immortal Formation. However, Zhao Hao, who was only a half-step Supreme Being, could break it in an instant. The power of his lifetime treasure was indeed terrifying. The Origin Immortal Herb appeared in front of Zhao Hao and Morong Inshue. It was a 3-foot-tall immortal herb. Its entire body was emerald green, and its leaves seemed to be branded with the Great Tao. A fiery red fruit grew in the middle of the immortal herb. It was crystal clear and fragrant, and one would feel refreshed after taking a whiff of it. Is this an Emperor-grade immortal herb? Saint, quickly take the immortal herb. Morong Inshue's eyes were filled with joy as she hurriedly urged Zhao Hao. All right. I will take the immortal herb. Zhao Hao said with a faint smile as he walked toward the immortal herb. A cold glint flashed in Zhao Hao's eyes as he approached the celestial herb. The Origin Source Seal in his palm instantly blossomed with a dazzling radiance. Thunder rumbled as it directly suppressed the celestial herb. What? Morong Inshue exclaimed. She did not understand why Zhao Hao would suddenly attack the Emperor-grade immortal herb. Boom. However, Morong Inshue was shocked in the next moment. The immortal herb suddenly emitted a black demonic light, as if it contained a deadly poison. The immortal herb that was originally glowing with immortal light suddenly transformed into a strange demonic herb. The demonic herb had tentacles and a bloody mouth. The tentacles and the bloody mouth attacked Zhao Hao and Morong Inshue at the same time. Something is indeed strange. Zhao Hao sneered. He was not surprised at all. The Origin Ancient Seal suppressed the immortal herb at lightning speed. At the same time, rays of blazing light that seemed capable of destroying everything landed on the demonic herb. Rumble. The tentacles shattered as the demonic herb trembled violently. It let out a sharp sound that seemed capable of piercing one's primordial spirit. Morong Inshue's face turned pale instantly. The silhouette of a beautiful woman appeared above the demonic herb. She had a vicious expression on her face. The Origin Ancient Seal hovered above the demonic herb as it emitted beams of lightning that trapped the demonic herb in the middle like a prison. Although the demonic herb's demonic might was overwhelming, it was unable to break through the shackles of the Origin Ancient Seal. The phantasmal demon celestial herb? It's really you. Zhao Hao said indifferently. The phantasmal demon celestial herb was also a celestial herb. However, it was not an emperor-grade celestial herb. It was only a mediocre celestial herb. However, the phantasmal demon celestial herb was extremely unique. It could imitate the aura of countless living beings, including king-grade and emperor-grade celestial herbs. Therefore, it had disguised itself as an emperor-grade celestial herb to lure Zhao Hao into the trap. However, it did not expect Zhao Hao to see through it. How did you see through it? The silhouette of the woman said resentfully as she glared at Zhao Hao. What kind of treasure is an emperor-grade celestial herb? How can it be trapped by such a small celestial formation? If an emperor-grade celestial herb really appears, even a celestial king would have a hard time capturing it unless it's willing to acknowledge you as its master. Moreover, you might be able to fool others by disguising yourself as an emperor-grade celestial herb, but you can't fool me. Zhao Hao said indifferently. He had the Origin Ancient Seal, so he could predict good and bad luck. He had already sensed danger when he approached the celestial formation. Therefore, he knew the phantasmal demon celestial herb was up to no good. Therefore, he made his move without hesitation. What do you want? The phantasmal demon celestial herb asked as it stared at Zhao Hao. Initially, It wanted to take the opportunity to devour Zhao Hao and Morong Inxue. However, it was now trapped by Zhao Hao. It could tell Zhao Hao's origin ancient seal was extraordinary. It was afraid it would not be able to escape today. It's very simple. If you don't want your body and soul to be destroyed, submit to me and bring me to the real emperor-grade celestial herb. Zhao Hao said indifferently as he stared at the phantasmal demon celestial herb. Submit to you? It's not impossible, but how do you know I'll be able to find the emperor-grade celestial herb? Although the phantasmal demon celestial herb was unwilling, it knew it had no choice but to submit to Zhao Hao if it wanted to live. Otherwise, Zhao Hao would not let it go so easily. Although the phantasmal demon celestial herb can disguise itself as an emperor-grade celestial herb, you'll have to see it before you can do it. Cut the crap and make your choice. Zhao Hao said coldly. If he did not want to find the real emperor-grade celestial herb from the phantasmal demon celestial herb, he would have suppressed it with the origin ancient seal instead of wasting his time talking to it. Chapter 34:12. Alright. I'll submit. I'm willing to bring you to the emperor-grade celestial herb. The illusion demon celestial herb could only nod helplessly. The celestial herb could not swear on the heavenly Tao. Therefore, it allowed Zhao Hao to place a few dozen restrictions on it before it turned into a ray of light and flew into the distance. Whoosh! Whoosh! Zhao Hao and Morong Inxue followed behind it to search for the emperor-grade celestial herb. Lord Saint, how did you know he could find the emperor-grade celestial herb? Morong Inxue asked curiously and embarrassedly. She had told Zhao Hao confidently that he could find the emperor-grade celestial herb. However, she did not expect to be fooled by the illusion demon celestial herb. It's true that the illusion demon celestial herb needs to see other celestial herbs before it can take on the appearance of other celestial herbs. However, there's one thing you don't know. Wherever the illusion demon celestial herb is, there's bound to be an emperor-grade celestial herb. Zhao Hao said slowly as his eyes glinted. This was a secret that ordinary people would not know about. Only celestial king clans would know about it. I see. Morong Inxue finally understood. They followed the illusion demon celestial herb out of the valley and into the depths of the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret realm. The old ancestor died in the hands of that villain. The Great Ming Celestial Kingdom is now in a precarious situation. I have to find the Celestial Emperor's inheritance as soon as possible to save the Great Ming Celestial Kingdom from this crisis. Zhu Qizong concealed his aura in a mountain range as he walked toward an ancient mountain in the distance. His eyes were filled with determination and sharpness. According to the old ancestors' records, the Celestial Emperor's inheritance might be in this area. However, I don't know how to trigger the Celestial Emperor's test, so I'll have to look for it carefully. A mysterious ancient mirror appeared in Zhu Qizong's hand with a flicker of light. It was as if the ancient mirror contained the mountains, rivers, and all living things. It emitted a misty immortal glow in the chaotic void. Under the illumination of the ancient mirror, the mountain range in front of them seemed to have been penetrated, revealing the scene inside. This was the celestial artifact of the Great Ming Celestial Kingdom, the Profound Void Mirror. The Profound Void Mirror could see through everything. The Great Ming Celestial Kingdom had paid a heavy price this time. Zhu Qizong brought the Profound Mirror into the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret realm to search for the Celestial Emperor's inheritance. Reporting to young master, we have found Zhu Qizong's location. A ghostly figure in black knelt down on one knee before Mu Yunfeng and spoke respectfully. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your kindness. Zhu Qizong? Very good. I've long known that there's something strange about this brat. It's said that there's an immortal emperor's inheritance in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. Could it be that he knows something? Let's go and take a look. If there's really some kind of inheritance, we'll kill him. Mu Yunfeng sneered with a sinister expression. He sat cross-legged in a mysterious valley. Black murderous aura constantly surged into his body, causing his face to reveal an abnormal red color. His face was incomparably cold. Cold light shot out from his eyes, and cold killing intent filled the air. Yes. Following his command, many experts from the Azure Dragon Immortal sect followed him, and headed in the direction where Zhu Qizong had appeared. A storm was brewing in the secret territory of Hanging Sword Mountain. Due to the entry of the three major forces, the situation had become extremely subtle. However, Zhao Hao did not care about this. What he wanted the most now was to find the Emperor-grade celestial herb. Only by finding the Emperor-grade celestial herb would the old ancestor be able to recover from his injuries and save the Zhao clan from this crisis. The illusion demon immortal herb brought Zhao Hao and Morong Inxue to the depths of the secret territory of Hanging Sword Mountain, and finally arrived at a huge lake. The lake before them looked extremely mysterious. It stretched as far as the eye could see, but it was shrouded in colorful lights that contained deadly poison. The Emperor-grade celestial herb is here. My lord, can you let me go after we find the Emperor-grade celestial herb? The illusion demon immortal herb said with a flattering smile. Let you go? That's not impossible. Let's find the Emperor-grade celestial herb first. Zhao Hao's gaze landed on the lake in front of him. There was a strange light in his eyes. Through the origin ancient seal, he could feel that the lake in front of him contained an unfathomable immortal Dao aura. It was vast and unparalleled. Although it was extremely obscure, the aura was even more profound than the old ancestor of the Zhao clan. It seemed like it was the Emperor-grade celestial herb. Don't worry, I'll definitely bring you to the Emperor-grade celestial herb. The illusion demon immortal herb swore. Then, it turned into a ray of light and shot toward the depths of the lake. Zhao Hao and Morong Inxue quickly followed. The lake was extremely dangerous. It seemed to contain countless powerful ferocious beasts. Some of them even made the illusion demon immortal herb feel weak all over. However, those ferocious beasts did not dare to appear. It was as if they were suppressed by the vast immortal Dao aura in the depths of the lake. All of them hid obediently. Therefore, although the lake seemed to be filled with danger, it was actually extremely safe. If it were not for the suppression of the immortal Dao aura in the depths of the lake, Zhao Hao and Morong Inxue would not have been able to enter the lake. At the center of the lake, a colorful barrier appeared. It looked mysterious and unfathomable. It emitted an ancient and vast immortal Dao aura. An ancient and mysterious immortal herb could be vaguely seen at the center of the barrier. It was surrounded by divine chains of order and immortal Dao runes. It seemed to be able to control the heavens and earth, turning the barrier outside into a world of its own. The immortal herb was filled with purple qi. It looked like a qilin. Its branches and leaves were intertwined. At the head of the qilin, there was a fist-sized fruit that looked like a purple sun. It was mysterious and unfathomable. When Zhao Hao and Morong Inxue saw the immortal herb, they could not move their eyes away. An Emperor-grade celestial herb. It was indeed an Emperor-grade celestial herb. My lords, this barrier is formed by an Emperor-grade celestial herb. Only a true immortal can break it. I've brought you here, but if you can't break the barrier, you can't blame me. The illusory demon immortal medicine's eyes darted around as he spoke somewhat uneasily. I know. Zhao Hao nodded as a sharp glint flashed across his eyes. Boom. Immortal light shone from his palm. Chaotic light rose, and the origin ancient seal appeared. It emitted an ancient and mysterious aura. The illusion demon immortal herb shuddered. It felt its scalp go numb. It was in extreme danger. If the origin ancient seal came at it, it would not be able to resist at all. What a terrifying treasure. What kind of immortal artifact was it? Boom. Zhao Hao waved his hand. Immediately, the origin ancient seal rose into the air and fell towards the dazzling barrier. The heavens and earth shook violently. A crisp sound was heard as the barrier shattered. It broke so easily. Gasp. This treasure is terrifying. The illusion demon immortal herb shuddered. Its eyes were filled with fear. It could tell that Zhao Hao had not used his full strength. The origin ancient seal was too terrifying. It possessed the strength of a true immortal. However, Zhao Hao was only a supreme being. How could he control such a treasure? Zhao Hao and Morong Inxue walked into the barrier. The Emperor-grade celestial herb in front of them was filled with purple qi. Immortal light gathered and formed the silhouette of a qilin. It looked ancient and mysterious. Zhao Hao's origin ancient seal floated above the Emperor-grade celestial herb. It suppressed the Emperor-grade celestial herb's aura and prevented it from spreading out. At the same time, it prevented the Emperor-grade celestial herb from escaping. After all, the aura of an Emperor-grade celestial herb was too terrifying. If it was not suppressed, it would be sensed by others very quickly. At that time, it would be troublesome. Whoosh. At this moment, the illusion demon immortal herb appeared behind the Emperor-grade celestial herb like a bolt of lightning. Then it pointed at Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue and said, "Boss, these two bastards asked me to bring them here. They want to capture you. Kill them." Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue were stunned. Rumble. At this moment, the Emperor-grade celestial herb suddenly unleashed a terrifying aura that caused the surrounding void to tremble violently. The boundless immortal Dao aura seemed to be able to destroy everything as a ferocious aura spread out. Roar. The ancient and mysterious roar seemed to be able to shatter the starry sky. Amidst the purple aura, the Emperor-grade celestial herb transformed into a celestial beast shrouded in purple aura. It was a Qilin. It looked extremely handsome, and its eyes seemed to emit celestial light. His gaze landed on Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue, causing the two of them to tremble. Their eyes were filled with incomparable terror. Immortal King. Zhao Hao's body trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief. This aura was undoubtedly that of an immortal king. Even a true immortal would not have such a terrifying aura. However, how could an Emperor-grade celestial herb transform into an immortal king? Although Emperor-grade celestial herbs were heaven-defying and precious, it was extremely difficult for them to transform. It required heaven-defying luck and fortune. Since ancient times, Zhao Hao had only seen one celestial herb transform in ancient records. That celestial herb had already become a supreme celestial emperor. Now he had actually seen an Emperor-grade celestial herb transform into a celestial king? This was bad. Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue's expressions darkened. They should be thinking about how to escape from the Emperor-grade celestial herb, let alone obtain it. Chapter 34:13. Thoughts kept spinning in Zhao Hao's mind as he thought about how to escape. When he left the Zhao clan, the immortal king patriarch Zhao Yunyang had once given him a life-saving trump card. If he summoned the immortal king patriarch now, he might be able to escape this calamity. However, although Zhao Yunyang was an immortal king, his source was damaged. Would he really be a match for this immortal king Qilin? If anything happened to Zhao Yunyang in order to save him, then he would be a sinner of the Zhao clan, and wouldn't be able to redeem himself even if he died 100 times. Just as Zhao Hao was thinking about how to escape, the immortal King Qilin's gaze landed on him. Boom. Zhao Hao's body trembled. He felt as if his entire body was frozen. His entire body felt cold as if he was seen through from head to toe. Murong Inxue's face was also incomparably pale. Her entire body was trembling as if she was under great pressure. That pair of purple eyes seemed to have the galaxy flowing, space-time changing, and the mysterious scene of chaos rising, piercing through the ages with a single glance. At this moment, Zhao Hao and Murong Inxue didn't even have the thought of resisting. The immortal King Qilin's gaze was incomparably indifferent. After glancing at Zhao Hao, he suddenly revealed a bewildered expression. He suddenly felt that Zhao Hao's aura was somewhat familiar. It seemed to be the person his master was looking for. Boom. But right at this moment, a loud sound rang out. In the distance, divine light blazed. A blood-soaked figure with runes interweaving around his body pierced through the void and flew over at an extremely fast speed. His speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Zhao Hao and the immortal King Qilin. It was a handsome and extraordinary young man. He was wearing a purple dragon robe, a jade crown, and a pair of flowing light boots. However, his face was incomparably pale, and there was a trace of bright red blood at the corner of his mouth. His eyes were filled with shock and anger. Zhu Qizong. Zhao Hao was slightly stunned. He didn't expect that the person who came was actually the crown prince of the great Ming Immortal Empire, Zhu Qizong. Zhu Qizong's cultivation was extraordinary, and he had many followers. To be able to reward him, could it be him? Right at this moment, an incomparably cold and arrogant voice exploded in the void. Zhu Qizong, where else can you escape to? Obediently stretch out your neck for execution. Otherwise, if you fall into this young lord's hands, you will only beg for death. Behind him, a man in a black dragon robe with an extremely evil face walked over. His entire body emitted a vast dragon's might, and his aura was extremely powerful. Behind him were two armored followers with ice-cold expressions. They were both supreme youths, and their strength wasn't ordinary. It was the young master of the Azure Dragon Immortal School, Mu Yinfeng. Zhu Qizong's eyes were filled with rage. He wanted to say something, but when his gaze swept across Zhao Hao and the Qilin Immortal King, he couldn't help but shudder. His eyes were filled with terror. The Qilin Immortal King exuded a Dao aura as immortal light surrounded him. It was as though he was one with the heavens and earth. Even from afar, one wouldn't be able to sense his existence. But in front of the Qilin Immortal King, Zhu Qizong felt as though he was looking at a primordial fiend god. A deep sense of helplessness arose from the depths of his heart. He felt as insignificant as an ant. He couldn't even move his body. He just stood there, frozen. Zhu Qizong, at least you know your place, Mu Yinfeng sneered. He stepped on a ray of light and rapidly approached. He felt that Zhu Qizong's figure was frozen there. He thought that Zhu Qizong didn't dare to escape. A cold smile appeared on his face as he instantly reached the depths of the lake. But in the next moment his body froze. Because a pair of purple eyes were looking at him. That indifferent and mysterious gaze seemed to contain the changes of yin and yang. The mysterious scene of the birth and death of the world. It made him feel as though he had fallen into an ice abyss. And he couldn't help but tremble. This is the aura of an immortal king. How is this possible? How can there be an immortal king in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain? Mu Yinfeng couldn't help but exclaim. His eyes were filled with disbelief. At the same time, he also noticed Zhao Hao and Morong Inxue. He didn't expect that he would encounter the Qilin Immortal King with an incomparably terrifying aura, while chasing after Zhu Qizong. What should he do now? Mu Yinfeng's heart trembled. At this moment, he didn't hesitate to activate the talisman surrounded by immortal light in his sea of consciousness between his brows and began to call for the ancestor. Only the ancestor could save him. Otherwise, he was afraid that he would really die here today. Boss, these guys are all outsiders. They're deliberately trying to disrupt your cultivation. Why don't we kill all of them? The eyes of the hallucination demon Immortal Herb rolled around before he finally smiled flatteringly at the Qilin Immortal King. Bang! The Qilin Immortal King sent him flying with a slap, causing the hallucination demon Immortal Herb to involuntarily cry out in pain. Quite a bit of its origin immortal chi was scattered. If the Qilin Immortal King hadn't shown mercy, he would have been directly smashed into ashes by the Qilin Immortal King. Noisy, do I need you to guide me in my actions? The Qilin Immortal King said indifferently. Then he ignored the nervous and terrified Zhu Qizong and Mu Yinfeng. His gaze landed on Zhao Hao, and his eyes revealed an interested expression. What's your name? The Qilin Immortal King asked. His voice was like the sound of the great Tao, mysterious and unfathomable, causing Zhao Hao and the others to tremble and their blood to surge. Zhao Hao, who was incomparably nervous, was slightly stunned. He raised his head and glanced at the Qilin Immortal King. Are you asking me? My name is Zhao Hao, the successor of the Longevity Zhao family. Zhao Hao, you're not called Zhao Ritian? The Qilin Immortal King was slightly stunned, and a trace of suspicion appeared in his eyes. Then he stretched out a purple claw and grabbed at Zhao Hao. Immediately, a strange immortal Dao law enveloped Zhao Hao, and then a strange light was extracted from his body. The Qilin Immortal King placed it at his nose and sniffed it lightly. He was even more puzzled. The aura matches. It's very similar. It's very likely that you're the person Master is looking for. But why aren't you called Zhao Ritian? The Qilin Immortal King muttered to himself. Although he was muttering to himself, it was still like a thunderclap, shaking the void in all directions. Master? Zhao Hao's heart skipped a beat. The master that the Qilin Immortal King was talking about? Could it be that legendary quasi-immortal emperor? Even Zhu Qizong and Mu Yinfeng's faces were pale at this moment, especially Mu Yinfeng. He felt that something was wrong, as if he had kicked an iron plate. It doesn't matter. When Master comes, we'll naturally know. The Qilin Immortal King muttered softly, looking somewhat unintelligent. He glanced at Zhao Hao lazily and said, You are not allowed to leave. You can only leave when my master comes and allows you to leave. Zhao Hao. Could this be an undeserved calamity? At the same time, he was also wondering who the master that the Qilin Immortal King was referring to was, and who was the person called Zhao Ritian that he was looking for. At the same time, he realized that even though the Qilin Immortal King was transformed from an emperor-grade immortal herb and had a cultivation comparable to an immortal king, he did not seem to be very smart. Perhaps he could find a way to leave this place? Boom. At that moment, a blazing light rose from the void, and a powerful spatial fluctuation spread out. The void seemed to be torn apart as endless immortal light blossomed. The laws of the great Tao intertwined, and the runes were dazzling. A figure with an incomparably terrifying aura stepped out from the void. It was an old man in a black robe with an incomparably dignified face. His hair and beard were white, and his eyes were extremely cold. A strange Taoist rhyme intertwined around him, as if he had merged with the surroundings. Mu Yunfeng shuddered when he saw the old man in a black robe, and an extremely surprised expression appeared on his face. Old Ancestor. The person who came was the Immortal King, Old Ancestor of the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect. When he sensed the terrifying aura of the Qilin Immortal King, he did not hesitate and decisively contacted the Immortal King, Old Ancestor through the Immortal Tao Talisman in his Sea of Consciousness. He did not expect the Immortal King, Old Ancestor to come so quickly. The transformation of an emperor-grade immortal herb. Ha ha ha. The heavens are really helping me. The Immortal King, Old Ancestor of the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect was named Mu Qingquan. When his eyes landed on the Qilin Immortal King, he could not help but shudder. He could immediately tell that the Qilin Immortal King's true form was an emperor-grade immortal herb. His gaze instantly became incomparably fiery. The Qilin in front of him was the transformation of an emperor-grade immortal herb. Moreover, it did not look like it had transformed for long, and its cultivation had only reached the Immortal King realm. If he could obtain this emperor-grade immortal herb, he might be able to take another step forward, and even have a glimpse of the legendary realm. This was a supreme fortune that he could not miss out on. He did not expect an emperor-grade immortal herb to appear in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. Where did this old thing come from? How dare you disturb my cultivation? Why aren't you scramming? The Qilin Immortal King's eyes flashed sharply. He could sense the greed in Mu Qingquan's eyes, and immediately said angrily, "Evil creature, how dare you be so impudent in front of me? Die." Murderous intent flashed in Mu Qingquan's eyes. Without hesitation, he roared and instantly attacked the Qilin Immortal King. Rumble. Immortal light rose around him as a dragon-shaped whip that was intertwined with 5-colored immortal light appeared in his palm. It contained an unparalleled might as it lashed out at the Qilin Immortal King. This was the Azure Dragon Whip, an Immortal King weapon that he had refined. It was extremely powerful, and when the whip lashed out, it seemed to be able to shatter thousands of worlds. It was extremely terrifying. Old thing, how dare you attack me? The Qilin Immortal King was shocked and furious. He could sense that this old man was not to be trifled with. In an instant, he turned into a purple bolt of lightning and teleported into the distance. At the same time, the Qilin horn on his head emitted a purple divine light that seemed to have filled the great thousand worlds. It contained a terrifying lightning that could destroy everything as it charged towards the Azure Dragon Whip. Boom. The void trembled as the Azure Dragon Whip directly shattered the purple divine light. Then, it smashed down towards the Qilin Immortal King. Mu Qingquan was determined to take away this emperor-grade immortal herb. He was a veteran immortal king, and his cultivation had already reached the 6th heaven of the Immortal King realm. With an Immortal King weapon like the Azure Dragon Whip in his hand, he was extremely powerful. Naturally, the Qilin Immortal King was not his match. Not to mention, although the Qilin Immortal King was an emperor-grade immortal herb in human form, and was extremely powerful, he didn't have any powerful attacking methods. Under Mu Qingquan's attack, he quickly fell into a disadvantage. The Immortal King Patriarch of the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect is actually so strong. Zhao Hao's body trembled as an incomparably solemn expression appeared in his eyes. When Mu Yunfeng saw this scene, he was relieved. His eyes were full of pride and arrogance as he worshipped Lin Fan. An immortal king patriarch could suppress everything. His strength was boundless. In his opinion, not only would their Azure Dragon immortal sect be able to destroy the Great Ming immortal kingdom very quickly, even the longevity Zhao family might fall in their hands. Old thing, you dare to attack me? When Master arrives, you will definitely die. The Qilin immortal king said angrily. Master? Who is your master? Mu Qingquan's heart trembled slightly. The master of an emperor-grade immortal herb was at least a powerful immortal king. Could it be that this emperor-grade immortal herb already had a master? My master is extremely talented, and is a great existence who will definitely become an immortal emperor in the future. If you don't stop now, when my master arrives, he will definitely kill you. The Qilin immortal king laughed arrogantly, his eyes filled with fanaticism and worship. This old man isn't a coward. Today I'll suppress you first. I want to see who your master is. If he doesn't know what's good for him, I'll suppress him as well. Mu Qingquan sneered. He was at the 6th heaven of the immortal king realm. With the Azure Dragon whip in his hand, he was extremely powerful. Even if he was facing an expert at the 7th or 8th heaven of the immortal king realm, he would still have the strength to fight. Naturally, he wouldn't be scared away by a single sentence from the Qilin immortal king. He wanted to take down the Qilin immortal king in one go. After all, it was an emperor-grade immortal herb. That was something that even quasi-immortal emperors would fight for. At most, he would just suppress the Qilin immortal king and return to the Azure Dragon immortal sect to cultivate in seclusion. Is that so? At this moment, a calm and indifferent voice exploded in the void. Rumble. A chaotic fist mark tore through the void in an instant and descended from the 9 heavens. It was like a dazzling sun that wanted to obliterate everything. That kind of domineering and peerless sharpness that could suppress everything made the Azure Dragon immortal king, Mu Qingquan's body tremble violently. His eyes were filled with incomparable horror. That kind of power gave him the illusion that he couldn't fight against it. He hurriedly took out the Azure Dragon whip to block it. Crack. Immortal light shattered and runes exploded. Heaven and earth seemed to be completely destroyed at this moment, as endless chaotic airflow surged violently. Mu Qingquan's body trembled violently. The Azure Dragon whip in his hand actually flew out at this moment. His entire body seemed to have been struck by lightning. His arm was broken, revealing eerie white bones. Blood filled the air as he flew out horizontally. What? Zhao Hao, Morong Inxue, Zhu Qizong, and Mu Yinfeng were all stunned. Even someone as powerful as Mu Qingquan couldn't withstand that unparalleled chaotic fist mark. Just what kind of great existence was that? Master, you're finally back. The Qilin immortal king's body trembled. His eyes were filled with incomparable excitement as he couldn't help but shout. Amidst the resplendent immortal light that filled the sky, the flower of Tao bloomed. Mysterious sound waves interweaved, like a mysterious scene at the beginning of the world. A figure descended from the sky. That figure landed on the Qilin immortal king's back. He stepped on the void, his white robes fluttering in the air. There seemed to be endless light rising around him. Tens of thousands of Tao auras interweaved and filled the air. Anyone who saw that figure couldn't help but tremble, and have the intention to submit. Peak. Chapter 34:14. That figure seemed to have walked out from the long river of time. With a raise of his hand, he could open up endless worlds and reverse boundless time and space. His white robes were peerless and otherworldly, as if he existed in another space-time. At the same time, that incomparably powerful immortal Tao pressure was like the arrival of an immortal emperor, instantly suppressing the surrounding laws of heaven and earth. It was majestic and mysterious. At this moment, even the Azure Dragon immortal king, who was sent flying by the punch, trembled all over and felt his heart palpitate. You? Who exactly are you? The Azure Dragon immortal king asked, his face filled with shock and anger. That figure ignored the Azure Dragon immortal king. In his eyes, there seemed to be the mysterious scene of the galaxy vanishing and chaos opening as his gaze landed on Zhao Hao. Zhao Ritian, we meet again. That figure let out a slightly joyful and ancient voice that resounded between heaven and earth. Being looked at by this mysterious immortal king, Zhao Hao was also incomparably nervous. At this moment, when he heard the voice, he couldn't help but raise his head and say with a bitter smile, "Senior, I'm Zhao Hao, not Zhao Ritian." Previously, the Qilin Immortal King had said that he was Zhao Ritian, and now, the Qilin Immortal King's master, this mysterious immortal king, also said that he was Zhao Ritian. Zhao Hao was also incomparably depressed. This was because he suddenly realized that if his name was taken apart, wouldn't it be Zhao Ritian? Zhao Hao. It seems that there is heaven's will in the unseen world. Don't worry, you will be soon. The mysterious immortal king said with a faint smile. At this moment, Zhao Hao realized that the mysterious immortal king was actually a peerless young man in white. He looked handsome and elegant, and he had a jade-like temperament, far surpassing those so-called geniuses that Zhao Hao had seen before. Even Zhao Hao felt a sense of inferiority in front of this mysterious immortal king. This king is asking you a question. Who exactly are you? Could it be that you are the one who killed the great light immortal king and returned from the Chaos Sea? The Azure Dragon Immortal King was furious when he saw that he was ignored by the mysterious Immortal King. However, he suddenly thought of something, and his eyes revealed an incomparably shocked expression. The mysterious Immortal King in the Chaos Sea had killed the Great Light Immortal King. If that was the case, then everything made sense. However, how could such an extraordinary and supreme figure possibly appear in such a desolate and barren place like the Chaos Sea? The mysterious immortal king of the Chaos Sea? Hearing those words, Zhao Hao, Morong Inxue, Mu Yunfeng and Zhu Qizong all revealed incomparably shocked expressions. This was especially so for Zhu Qizong. The reason why their great Ming immortal empire fell to such a state was because the great Ming immortal king was killed by someone. No wonder he was able to make the Qilin immortal king, an emperor great immortal medicine, become his servant. Such a character was truly terrifying. Noisy. A cold light flashed in the mysterious immortal king's eyes. Then he lightly slapped the Azure Dragon Immortal King. This palm was actually incomparably arrogant, directly slapping towards the Azure Dragon Immortal King's face. The Azure Dragon Immortal King's eyes were instantly filled with towering rage. With a sudden roar, his blood and chi surged as immortal light bloomed. An incomparably mysterious true dragon of the immortal Tao appeared behind him. He suddenly pushed out with both hands. The true dragon of the immortal Tao emitted a vast and terrifying aura. It was insufferably arrogant as it instantly charged towards the mysterious immortal king. This was the Azure Dragon's great immortal technique, and also the Azure Dragon Immortal King's most powerful immortal technique. At this moment, he was forced into a corner by the mysterious immortal king in front of him, so he directly erupted with it. Boom. However, the difference between the two was too great. The mysterious immortal king's light palm strike seemed to contain endless primal chaos void, encompassing all the worlds in the heavens. It directly smashed the true dragon of the immortal Tao into dust. At the same time, the palm strike didn't lose its momentum. It ruthlessly slapped the Azure Dragon Immortal King's face, instantly sending him flying. This palm strike didn't cause much damage to the Azure Dragon Immortal King. With the Immortal King's powerful recovery ability, it could be said that he recovered in an instant. However, to an immortal king, this was simply a great humiliation. Zhao Hao and the others were completely stunned. To be able to treat an immortal king as nothing and casually humiliate him. Just how powerful was this mysterious immortal king in the Chaos Sea? Damn it! Although you are powerful, this is the territory of the Truth Immortal Court. Do you really think you can cover the sky with one hand? If I don't kill you today, I swear I'm not human. The Azure Dragon Immortal King was furious, and his eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent. Boom. At this moment, an immortal talisman in his palm was instantly crushed by him. Then the void in the distance trembled violently, and was directly torn apart. 3 figures with incomparably terrifying auras directly appeared in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. 3 lords, this person is the person who killed the Great Light Immortal King and came from the Chaos Sea. Please make a move and completely kill him. When the Azure Dragon Immortal King saw the 3 figures, he also bowed and said, 3 ninth heavenly layer immortal kings, huh? They actually didn't send out a quasi-immortal emperor. How boring. Do you think that you can take me down with just these few pieces of trash? The mysterious immortal king chuckled, his voice filled with careless mockery. How dare you? One of the immortal kings roared. These 3 immortal kings were all experts sent by the Truth Immortal Court. After learning that the Great Light Immortal King was killed, the Truth Immortal Court was furious and immediately sent out 3 supreme experts. These 3 were also the 3 war kings of the Truth Immortal Court. They controlled the army of the Truth Immortal Court and were extremely powerful. They sent the 3 of them with the intention of completely killing the Immortal King in the Chaos Sea in one go. The reason why the Azure Dragon Immortal King was fearless was that he had the Immortal Talisman given by the 3 Immortal Kings, which could instantly summon the 3 Immortal Kings. Reckless fool. Are you the one who killed the Great Light Immortal King? Quickly kneel down and surrender. Otherwise, when I make a move, you will definitely die. Another Immortal King said coldly. Emperor-grade immortal medicine? What a good fortune. I didn't expect there to be such a precious treasure. Brothers, after killing this bastard, the Emperor-grade immortal medicine will be enough for the 3 of us to take another step forward and enter the quasi-immortal Emperor realm. The 3rd Immortal King's gaze landed on the Qilin Immortal King, and it was filled with a blazing light. This was an Emperor-grade immortal medicine. Even an immortal emperor would be tempted, let alone 3 immortal kings. They looked at the mysterious Immortal King with incomparably cold eyes. They were determined to kill him not only because he killed the Great Light Immortal King, but also because of the Emperor-grade immortal medicine. You talk too much nonsense. Since there are only 3 of you, then you can all die. The mysterious Immortal King sneered, and then he took a step forward and punched out. He was actually not afraid at all and directly attacked the 3 Immortal Kings. Chapter 34:15. That mysterious Immortal King brazenly attacked. Boom. He punched out, causing heaven and earth to shake violently. That unparalleled divine power that could suppress everything seemed to be able to shatter the heavens and destroy time and space. It was extremely powerful. The unparalleled fist print seemed to have formed a complete world, enveloping the 3 Immortal Kings and the Azure Dragon Immortal King in front of him. What? As soon as the mysterious Immortal King attacked, the 3 Immortal Kings of the Truth Immortal Court and the Azure Dragon Immortal King immediately knew how powerful he was. Their expressions all became serious. They had already seen that this mysterious Immortal King was actually also at the 9th heaven of the Immortal King realm. He was not weaker than them at all. Most importantly, this punch was purely based on the power of the physical body. The supreme power that could destroy all Daos made them tremble in fear. They sensed a great threat from this mysterious Immortal King. Let's attack together and kill him. An Immortal King shouted as killing intent surged in his eyes. Resplendent immortal light interweaved around his body as a dazzling flame saber appeared behind him. It pierced through the void for billions of miles, as if it could destroy everything. Great flame immortal art. Great thunder immortal art. Great God-slaying immortal art. The 3 Immortal Kings of the Truth Immortal Court with incomparably powerful auras were the Blazing Immortal King, the Thunder Immortal King, and the Great God-slaying Immortal King. They did not hesitate at all and unleashed their most powerful immortal arts. Behind them, raging flames rose, thunder surged, and dark divine light interweaved. Their auras were incomparably terrifying. At the same time, they turned into a flaming saber light, a thunder spear, and a great god-slaying immortal light, enveloping the mysterious Immortal King. The Immortal King realm experts had already cultivated the law of immortal Tao to the extreme. If they could take another step forward and come into contact with the eternal law of heaven, they would be able to break through to the quasi-immortal Emperor realm. The supreme immortal arts that they unleashed seemed to be the origin of fire, thunder, and destruction, containing incomparably terrifying lethality. If it was an ordinary 9th heaven Immortal King realm expert, facing the joint attack of the 3 of them, even if he didn't die, he would probably be severely injured in an instant. However, the mysterious Immortal King's expression was indifferent and calm. His eyes were dazzling. He stepped forward, and the chaotic light around him rose, causing his fist print to become even more fierce and majestic. Rumble. Vaguely, it was as if a world of primal chaos was being opened up. and it was about to destroy all life. Even time and space were being obliterated. The flaming blade trembled violently. It could only hold on for a moment before it was blasted apart by the punch. Immediately after, the lightning spear was also pierced through. However, the divine light of destruction was actually able to pierce through the void. It was as if it was formless and formless as it directly shot towards the forehead of the mysterious immortal king. The so-called god-slaying great immortal art was to slay the primordial spirit. It was incomparably fierce and impossible to guard against. Slaying immortal king had once used this immortal art to kill a 9th-level immortal king, which made him famous in the truth immortal court. Boom. Boom. The Inferno Immortal King and the Thunder Immortal King both trembled as if they were struck by lightning. In front of that extremely powerful punch, they were directly sent flying. The Azure Dragon Immortal King was in an even worse state. Just being swept by the aftershock caused his entire body to tremble, and he coughed up blood as he was sent flying backwards. Only Slaying Immortal King's immortal light rose from his body. In an instant, runes spread out as his entire body turned into billions of figures. Countless figures intertwined in the void, and at the same time, they released beams of god-slaying light, which directly enveloped the mysterious immortal king. Die. Slaying Immortal King's eyes were filled with incomparably cold killing intent. The mysterious immortal king did not seem to be flustered at all. Instead, he revealed a faint smile. Boom. The radiance between his brows was dazzling, and in an instant, it caused the surrounding void to tremble violently. In the endless chaotic light, it was as if a mysterious ancient tree had taken root in his primordial spirit's sea of consciousness. When the immortal annihilating light touched the mysterious ancient tree, it instantly melted like snow. What? Slaying Immortal King's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. Boom. The mysterious Immortal King took a step forward, and arrived in front of Slaying Immortal King in the next moment. Then he pointed his finger at Slaying Immortal King's forehead. The finger light was dazzling, as if it contained the endless power of time and space. It was like a long river of time, mysterious and vast. It seemed like it was going to freeze Slaying Immortal King on the spot. The power of time, heavenly Tao. How is this possible? Get out of my way. Slaying Immortal King's soul almost left his body. His eyes were filled with incomparable horror. A dazzling radiance bloomed between his brows, and a mysterious rune rose up. The rune looked incomparably abstruse, and there seemed to be an incomparably mysterious figure within it. It was a familiar yet unfamiliar immortal Tao divine rune. Suppress. It was the word suppress. As soon as the word suppress came out, all the restrictive power melted away like snow. The mysterious Immortal King's finger light touched Slaying Immortal King's forehead, causing his body to tremble violently and his forehead to crack. Golden immortal Tao blood spilled out, but he was still alive in the end. An immortal Tao rune left behind by a quasi-immortal emperor? The mysterious Immortal King's eyes revealed a hint of surprise, but he showed no signs of letting Slaying Immortal King go. He slapped down from the sky. Boom. Slaying Immortal King's body shook violently. His protective immortal light was almost shattered. Dense cracks like a spider web appeared on it, and he was sent flying. In the blink of an eye, the 3 immortal kings of the Truth Immortal Court and the Azure Dragon Immortal King were defeated. The powerful combat strength displayed by the mysterious Immortal King made the 4 of them tremble in fear, and their expressions were incomparably ugly. Especially the 3 immortal kings of the Truth Immortal Court. They were all experts in the 9th heaven of the Immortal King realm, but the mysterious Immortal King was much stronger than them. His body is indestructible. I don't know what kind of opportunity he has obtained, but it has been refined to the level of a quasi-immortal emperor. It seems to be transforming into a body of laws. I'm afraid the 3 of us are no match for him. Slaying Immortal King's expression was incomparably ugly as he said slowly, "Now that things have come to this, we can only ask the Sword of Truth for help. As long as the sword chi of the Sword of Truth's projection is enough to destroy him." Blazing Immortal King said slowly, "That's right. This person must die, and we must get that Emperor-grade immortal herb. Otherwise, if those quasi-immortal emperors of the Immortal Court know about it, I'm afraid we won't even be able to drink the soup. Thunder Immortal King said coldly. Azure Dragon Immortal King was hiding far away, not daring to come closer. This was not a battle he could participate in. Didn't he see that the three immortal kings of the Truth Immortal Court were in such a miserable state? If he was careless, he was afraid that a punch from the mysterious Immortal King would be able to kill him completely. He finally understood why the Great Light Immortal King died in the hands of this mysterious Immortal King. The difference between the two was too great. Chapter 34:16. Boss, is this our master? He's too strong. Those four immortal kings couldn't even withstand a single blow from him. The illusion demon Immortal Herb said excitedly, its eyes filled with flattery. He's my master. What does that have to do with you? Don't claim to be his relative. You're not worthy. Immortal King Qilin said proudly. Yes. Boss, you're my master, and he's my master's master. Let's see who dares to bully me when I follow you, boss. The illusion demon Immortal Herb said excitedly. Of course. My master is destined to become an immortal emperor. He'll rule over the eternal immortal domains and dominate an entire epoch. He'll be invincible. You should count yourself lucky for 8 lifetimes to have a connection to him. Immortal King Qilin smiled proudly. Naturally, his heart was filled with excitement. Although he was an immortal emperor, Great Immortal Herb, and had obtained a great opportunity to take human form, he had become the target of public criticism. Many people wanted to capture him, or even kill him to refine pills. He had lived a precarious life for many years until he met his master. He finally understood how great it was to have such a powerful backer. However, boss, the Sword of Truth is the eternal emperor weapon of the Truth Celestial Court. It contains the power of the eternal heavenly Tao, and can destroy everything. Can he deal with it? The illusion demon Immortal Herb said worriedly. The Sword of Truth is nothing. Don't worry, it can't do anything to my master. Immortal King Qilin smiled proudly. Zhao Hao, Morong Inxue, Mu Yinfeng, and Zhu Qizong looked at each other when they heard the conversation between the Immortal King Qilin and the illusion demon Immortal Herb. Zhao Hao especially knew how terrifying the Eternal Emperor weapon was. It was the supreme treasure of an immortal emperor. It was so powerful that it could even kill a boundary immortal emperor. The Sword of Truth was an Eternal Emperor weapon. It was the supreme treasure left behind by the founder of the Truth Celestial Court, the Truth Immortal Emperor. It had been protecting the Truth Celestial Court's fortune. Although no immortal emperor had been born in the Truth Celestial Court, the Sword of Truth was the reason it had been able to stand strong for so many years. Could this mysterious immortal king who had returned from the chaos really resist the Sword of Truth? For some reason, a trace of worry surfaced in Zhao Hao's heart. Rumble. At the same time, the 3 immortal kings of the Truth Immortal Court summoned the Sword of Truth without any hesitation. A mysterious immortal talisman appeared in each of their palms. Then endless immortal light rose and poured into the immortal talisman, causing the immortal talisman to emit a dazzling light. Crack. The space behind them instantly cracked open. An incomparably terrifying aura gushed out, as though it came from the primordial times. It was so powerful that it seemed capable of obliterating the great Tao and shattering the natural laws of heaven and earth of the eternal immortal domains. Even immortal kings were like ants in front of that aura. They felt their entire bodies trembling. The mysterious immortal king's eyes also flickered with divine light, revealing a hint of seriousness. Boom. In the next moment, a strange ancient sword slowly flew out from the broken void and floated above the heads of the 3 immortal kings. The ancient sword looked very ordinary, as if it was a stone sword made of mountain rocks. There was even a crack on it. However, that ancient sword was not ordinary at all. Mysterious ancient runes were branded on it, intertwining with each other. It seemed to contain the birth and destruction of a civilization, and contain the supreme will of truth. As soon as it appeared in the void, everyone felt as if they were facing a great enemy. They trembled all over, as if they couldn't help but fall to their knees. The Sword of Truth. The pale-faced immortal King Qilin, Zhao Hao, and the others instantly realized that this was the Sword of Truth. However, This wasn't the Sword of Truth's true form, but a mere projection. If a mere projection possessed such terrifying power, even the immortal kings felt the great terror of being on the brink of death. How terrifying would the true eternal emperor weapon be? You're dead meat. With the Sword of Truth's projection, even a quasi-immortal emperor won't be able to save you. The Azure Dragon Immortal King's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He was certain that the mysterious immortal king would die without a doubt. As for the three immortal kings of the Truth's celestial court, each of them had a cold look in their eyes. Killing intent rose from their bodies as they channeled their boundless energy into the ancient sword. As the power of the ancient sword rose to the extreme, the surrounding void trembled violently, as if it would completely collapse at any time. The Destruction Immortal King, the Inferno Immortal King, and the Thunder Immortal King all roared at the same time. Boom! The Sword of Truth was like a dazzling light, instantly enveloping the void. It was as if a brilliant chapter of civilization had appeared in front of everyone. Then the sky was filled with sword light. Those sword lights were pointed at the origin. They were incomparably terrifying, formless and intangible, but they could destroy everything. No one could describe the elegance of that sword. The Sword of Truth directly appeared in front of the forehead of the mysterious immortal king. Then sword light gushed out, and a vast power erupted as it slashed down. Crack! But at this moment, the forehead of the mysterious immortal king split open, and golden bloodlight spread out. At the same time, a mysterious ancient sword flew out, releasing a dazzling light. In an instant, it collided with the Sword of Truth. Rumble. As if it was a battle of fate, the ancient sword and the Sword of Truth bloomed with endless light at the same time. The vast and eternal might of the heavenly Tao descended, wanting to completely annihilate all the living beings in the surroundings. In the end, the ancient sword still destroyed the Sword of Truth. Dazzling light sprinkled down from the sky, and it looked so dreamy. How is this possible? The three immortal kings of the Truth Immortal Court originally had cold smiles on their faces, waiting for the mysterious immortal king to be killed. But at this moment their smiles froze. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. The projection of the Sword of Truth was actually destroyed? How was this possible? One must know that even a weapon of a quasi-immortal emperor would find it difficult to destroy the projection of the Sword of Truth. It could only be done by those powerful quasi-immortal emperors. How did this mysterious immortal king do it? Kill. But then, before they could think too much, they heard an incomparably cold voice from the mysterious immortal king. Rumble. The strange ancient sword released a dazzling light, crossing hundreds of millions of miles of the void. At this moment, the entire secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain was trembling violently, as if it was supported by a vast and eternal might of the heavenly Tao. Then, it slashed down fiercely toward the three immortal kings of the Truth Immortal Court, and the Azure Dragon Immortal King. I remember now. This is the legendary sword in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain? How is this possible? How can that sword still be here? The immortal-slaying immortal king trembled all over, and his eyes were filled with incomparable horror. But soon his voice and the four immortal kings were drowned out by the dazzling sword light that filled the sky. Between heaven and earth, only the dazzling ancient sword was left. It was like a brilliant sun, crossing the void and destroying everything. Chapter 34:17. Boom. Sword light slashed through space and destroyed yin and yang. Boundless immortal light soared into the sky as the power of laws intertwined. The might of the eternal heavenly Tao exploded. The three immortal kings of the Celestial Court of Truth, and the Azure Dragon Immortal King, didn't even have time to react before they were killed. Their immortal king bodies shattered, their nascent spirits destroyed, and their true spirits erased. Everything ceased to exist. It was as if the four celestial kings had never existed in this world. They had been completely erased by that sword. The power of a single sword strike was unimaginable. Could this be the legendary Eternal Emperor weapon? Zhao Hao and the others were scared out of their wits. After a long pause, the pale-faced Mu Yinfeng stammered. Even the prideful immortal King Qilin couldn't help but smile obsequiously. His master's sword strike had truly frightened him. Zhu Qizong and Mu Yinfeng exchanged a look and saw the fear in each other's eyes. Their previous hatred and murderous intent were gone. They'd just realized that the Great Light Immortal King and the Azure Dragon Immortal King had both died at the hands of the mysterious Immortal King in the Chaos Sea. At this moment, the two of them were also in imminent danger. That sword, could it be the legendary Sword of Origin? Zhu Qizong shuddered as a thought occurred to him. The Sword of Origin? The Eternal Emperor weapon left behind by the Origin Immortal Emperor? Mu Yinfeng was also incomparably shocked. He recalled the origins of Hanging Sword Mountain's secret realm. According to the ancient records of the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect, the formation of Hanging Sword Mountain's secret realm had something to do with the legendary Origin Immortal Emperor. In an incomparably ancient epoch, the Origin Immortal Emperor and the Truth Immortal Emperor had engaged in a great battle that shocked the entire Eternal Immortal domains. In the end, the Origin Immortal Emperor had perished. The Truth Immortal Emperor had won and founded the Truth Immortal Court, which had become a superpower that ruled over thousands of provinces in the Eternal Immortal domains. According to the ancient records of the Azure Dragon Immortal Sect, the Origin Immortal Emperor had left behind the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain. However, after so many years, no one had ever discovered the Origin Immortal Emperor's legacy, let alone the Sword of Origin, an Eternal Emperor weapon. Perhaps only the Sword of Origin could wipe out the four Immortal Kings so easily. If the Sword of Origin, the legendary Eternal Emperor weapon, fell into the hands of this mysterious Immortal King, then it would be a big deal. Wang. At this moment, the ancient sword emitted dazzling immortal light as two immortal Dao runes appeared on its surface. Origin. It was the word Origin. This really was the Sword of Origin. However, to everyone's astonishment, the word Origin was trembling non-stop and growing dimmer and dimmer. In the end, it completely disappeared and turned into another word. Devour the heavens. Heaven-devouring sword. Heaven-devouring, you came from the primal chaos sea with me. You are destined to reach the peak of the celestial realm. The mysterious Immortal King murmured to himself. Then, the space between his eyebrows shone brightly. The devouring heaven sword instantly fused into his sea of consciousness and was nurtured by him. This mysterious Immortal King was Ling Xiao. He had left the Yorwild's realm and drifted through the primal chaos sea. It could be said that he had narrowly escaped death. He had experienced countless dangers and almost died countless times in the primal chaos sea. Finally, after countless years, he had come to the Eternal Immortal domains. In the Eternal Immortal domains, he had followed Zhao Ritian's aura and found this place, as well as the secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain. The secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain was indeed a secret realm left behind by the Origin Immortal Emperor, and contained his legacy. Ling Xiao had not appeared before because he had been searching for the Origin Immortal Emperor's legacy. In the end, he had not only obtained the legacy, but also the Eternal Emperor weapon, the Sword of Origin. However, the Sword of Origin had been severely damaged in the battle all those years ago. It could no longer be considered an Eternal Emperor weapon, but a quasi-emperor weapon at best. The Origin Immortal Emperor had even refined it into a sword embryo. Just now, Ling Xiao had unleashed the last of the Eternal Heavenly Dao's power, and merged it with the heaven-devouring sword. That was how the Sword of Origin had completely disappeared. Now, only the heaven-devouring sword remained. The Sword of Origin was gone. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two beams of sword light bloomed from Ling Xiao's fingertips, instantly killing Zhu Qizong and Mu Yinfeng. Since he had killed the Great Light Immortal King and the Azure Dragon Immortal King, there was no need to keep them alive. In the end, only Immortal King Qilin, the phantasmal demon Immortal Herb, Zhao Hao, and Murong Inshua were left. Immortal light swirled around Ling Xiao as he took a step forward and landed in front of Zhao Hao. Greetings, Master. Master's might is unfathomable. You've killed 4 Immortal Kings in a single battle. Your name will surely shake the Eternal Immortal domains. Immortal King Qilin hurried over with a fawning smile. The phantasmal demon Immortal Herb was even more fawning, but she had no right to speak here. She could only stare at Immortal King Qilin and Ling Xiao. My name might not shake the Eternal Immortal domains. I'm afraid the Truth Immortal Court will hunt me down next. Ling Xiao said coolly. The Truth Immortal Court? What's there to be afraid of? If worse comes to worst, we'll just hide and wait for Master to ascend to the Quasi-Emperor realm. Then, we'll come out and destroy the Truth Immortal Court. Immortal King Qilin said proudly, but he could not hide his cowardice. Bang! Ling Xiao pointed his finger at the space between Murong Yinshue's eyebrows, causing Murong Yinshue's body to tremble as she fainted. Senior Yu, Zhao Hao asked hurriedly. Don't worry. I've only knocked her out temporarily. There are some things she shouldn't know. Come with me. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Then he swept Zhao Hao up with his sleeve and disappeared from the void. Buzz. The void rippled and space spread out. When Zhao Hao could see the scene before him clearly again, he had already arrived at a mysterious space. A huge immortal palace appeared in front of him. It looked mysterious and ethereal, and intimidating at first glance. In particular, the plaque above the immortal palace made Zhao Hao's entire body tremble. Origin. This was the immortal palace of Origin, the place of inheritance of the Origin Immortal Emperor. Come with me, Ling Xiao said coolly, then walked into the immortal palace of Origin. Although Zhao Hao was shocked, he knew that this senior had no ill intentions towards him. Therefore he hurried after him. The immortal palace of Origin was majestic like an ancient and mysterious mountain. The closer he got, the more he realized how mysterious the immortal palace of Origin was. The immortal palace of Origin was like a vast world. He was full of admiration in his heart. He did not expect that the inheritance of the Origin Immortal Emperor, which no one had discovered, would fall into the hands of this mysterious senior. Could it be that this senior was going to give him some benefits? A trace of anticipation grew in his heart. Chapter 34:18. Boom. A dazzling immortal sun stood high in the 9 heavens. Immortal light lingered around it, and chaotic fog rose as if there were countless mysterious scenes of the creation of the world. The river of time stopped here, and countless spaces intersected here. At the same time, there were scenes of billions of chaotic god-fiends and countless fierce beasts fighting. There were also scenes of countless civilizations, making people see through the vicissitudes of time and countless eras. In the dazzling immortal sun, there seemed to be a mysterious and vast figure, surrounded by endless eternal worlds. With a thought, countless living beings would bow down and worship him. After seeing that immortal sun, even Zhao Hao couldn't help but want to bow down. In the Origin Immortal Palace, there was only this dazzling immortal Sunday. It seemed to represent the origin of all things, and it evolved the birth and death of the heavens. Buzz. A mysterious immortal light spread out from Ling Xiao's body and enveloped Zhao Hao, preventing his mind from being taken away. He directly knelt down. What is this? Zhao Hao's face was extremely pale, and he said with some uncertainty. At the same time, he found that the dazzling immortal sun was trembling slightly, as if there was a strange fluctuation that wanted to fly toward Ling Xiao and merge into his body. However, Ling Xiao rejected it directly. The dazzling immortal sun even emitted an extremely aggrieved fluctuation. This is the Origin Immortal Emperor's eternal Tao spirit, Ling Xiao said slowly, with a trace of sharpness in his eyes. Eternal Tao spirit? Hiss. There's actually such a supreme treasure. If those quasi-immortal emperors know about it, they'll probably go crazy to snatch it. Even immortal emperors can't be indifferent to the eternal Tao spirit. Zhao Hao sucked in a breath of cold air, and his eyes were filled with incomparable shock. Immortal emperors controlled the eternal heavenly Tao and nurtured the eternal Tao spirit in their bodies. The eternal Tao spirit was the fusion of the immortal emperor's cultivation, comprehension, origin, and heavenly Tao. Just like the golden core and nascent soul in a cultivator's body, it was incomparably precious. If a quasi-immortal emperor could refine the eternal Tao spirit, he might be able to comprehend the eternal heavenly Tao in it and directly enter the immortal emperor realm. And if a immortal emperor powerhouse could devour the eternal Tao spirit, he could also strengthen his heavenly Tao. This was a supreme treasure. However, Zhao Hao suddenly realized that this senior Ling Xiao was actually indifferent to the eternal Tao spirit. Previously, When the eternal Tao spirit wanted to fuse into his body, he had rejected it. This eternal Tao spirit is useless to me. I've been meditating here for a while now. I've taken away Origin Immortal Emperor's insights and understanding of the Tao to verify my own understanding. I'll give you this eternal Tao spirit, Ling Xiao said slowly. Zhao Hao was instantly stunned by this sentence. Senior Ling Xiao actually didn't want the eternal Tao spirit, and wanted to give it to him? Although he didn't know what level Senior Ling Xiao had reached, he understood that Senior Ling Xiao definitely hadn't touched the quasi-immortal Emperor realm. He could not understand why Ling Xiao did not want the eternal Tao spirit. Wang. However, before Zhao Hao could say anything, Ling Xiao extended his hand and grabbed. Instantly, a huge palm covered the sky and directly grabbed the resplendent immortal sun, and then sent it into Zhao Hao's body. Rumble. A boundless immortal glow rose around Zhao Hao's figure. It felt like the flames of the immortal Tao were spreading inside his body. It turned into a scorching sea of fire, and shrouded his entire body. The Eternal Way spirit contained vast and majestic origin energy. More importantly, the mysterious eternal laws of the heavenly way had all fused into Zhao Hao's body at this moment. All kinds of mysterious and unfathomable scenes appeared around Zhao Hao. Blue lotuses were growing in the chaos ocean. Immortal emperors were standing high in the 9 heavens. Billions of living beings were worshipping at the same time. Ancient deities and demons were kowtowing to him. Zhao Hao was also immersed in the vast ocean of laws. He immediately entered a state of enlightenment. His cultivation began to improve by leaps and bounds. Wang. The origin ancient seal in his body seemed to have sensed something. It immediately floated out and appeared above Zhao Hao's head. It also began to merge with the vast origin force. Ling Zhao's eyes flickered. When he saw the origin ancient seal, his eyes were filled with amazement. At the same time, he also saw a faint shadow in the origin ancient seal. It was the second uncle. The Heavenly Emperor's seal had merged with the eternal immortal domain's origin, and had become Zhao Ritian's lifelong treasure. In the future, it had the potential to become an eternal emperor weapon. It could be used as Zhao Ritian's Tao affirmation treasure. Even though he had been certain of this for a long time, after seeing the origin ancient seal, he was truly certain. He had found Zhao Ritian. After merging with the eternal Tao spirit, it will be much easier for him to break through to the immortal emperor realm in the future. If he wants to fully comprehend the eternal heavenly Tao, he will have to reach the eternal heavenly Tao and become a quasi-immortal emperor. However, as long as he's safe, that's enough. Ling Zhao's eyes were filled with relief as he looked at Zhao Hao in front of him. He and Zhao Ritian had been father and son in their previous lives. In his previous life, they had been best friends. In this life, he had found Zhao Ritian. His countless years of hard work had not been in vain. As for why he had not refined the eternal Tao spirit, it was because he had already obtained the origin sword and the origin scripture. The origin scripture was an immortal emperor scripture that pointed directly to the great Tao of immortal emperors. It was enough for him to see the origin immortal emperor's path. However, this was not the path he wanted to take. He did not want to follow the prescribed path and become an immortal emperor, a failure that even the truth immortal emperor could not defeat. Ling Xiao had an even greater ambition. If the immortal emperor realm was not the pinnacle of the immortal domain, why would he not surpass the immortal emperor realm? He was still the same Ling Xiao. He wanted to walk his own path of invincibility and cultivate his own invincible arts. Even the immortal emperor's legacy could not change him in the slightest. However, the origin immortal emperor's legacy could help Zhao Ritian avoid many detours. Boom. Zhao Hao's cultivation base broke through to the supremacy realm, and continued to soar. First level supremacy realm. Second level supremacy realm. Third level supremacy realm. Ninth level supremacy realm. The supremacies of the eternal immortal domain were the pinnacle of the supremacy realm. Mortal supremacies could peer into the secrets of the laws. One more step, and they would break through to the true immortal realm. The eternal Tao spirit contained a vast amount of origin energy that could have allowed Zhao Hao's cultivation to break through to the true immortal realm. However, Ling Xiao had still made his move. The world tree in his forehead sprinkled down mysterious world laws, suppressing Zhao Hao's breakthrough, and keeping his cultivation base at the peak of the supremacy realm. Ling Xiao had hoped that Zhao Hao could polish his cultivation base a bit more before breaking through to the true immortal realm. The eternal Tao spirit slowly sank into Zhao Hao's body, tempering his body and causing him to undergo a subtle transformation. The strange phenomena around him slowly dissipated, and he opened his eyes. My cultivation base has reached the peak of the supremacy realm? I'm only a step away from the true immortal realm? Zhao Hao trembled, his eyes filled with disbelief. Chapter 34:19. I have suppressed the speed of your cultivation. Otherwise, with the eternal principle spirit, it would not be difficult for you to break through to the true immortal realm. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Thank you, senior. Zhao Hao was extremely grateful. He knew that Ling Xiao was doing this for his own good. After all, the difference between a supreme being and a true immortal was the difference between an immortal and a true immortal. Any genius who wanted to break through to the eternal principle would carefully train himself in the supreme realm and accumulate an extremely strong foundation before breaking through to the true immortal realm. Ling Xiao had suppressed his cultivation to allow him to train himself and strengthen his foundation. However, Zhao Hao was even more curious and puzzled. Why was Ling Xiao so good to him? Perhaps you are curious why I gave you the eternal principle spirit? I can only say that you are an old friend of mine. Now that you have not awakened the memories of your past life, you will know when you awaken the innate wisdom. Ling Xiao seemed to know that Zhao Hao was puzzled and explained. An old friend? You are the Zhao Ritian that you mentioned? No matter what, I have to thank you for giving me such a good opportunity. I would like to be your disciple. Is that possible? Zhao Hao nodded with a hint of anticipation in his eyes. With his eyesight, how could he not see that Ling Xiao was extraordinary? Even the 3 celestial kings of the Truth Celestial Court had been easily killed by Ling Xiao. The Great Light Celestial King and the Azure Dragon Celestial King had died at Ling Xiao's hands. Ling Xiao would definitely become an immortal emperor in the future. He would be a supreme powerhouse in the eternal immortal realm in the future. Moreover, he could see that Ling Xiao was very good to him, so he wanted to be his disciple. Disciple? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a strange look. If he really took Zhao Hao as his disciple, the relationship between him and Zhao Ritian would become more and more complicated. Father and son? Close friends? Master and disciple? What the hell was going on? If Zhao Hao awakened the memories of his past life, he would most likely regret this decision. Ling Xiao seemed to have a tinge of evil in his heart. He looked at Zhao Hao with a strange expression and nodded. All right. From now on, you are my disciple. Greetings, master. Zhao Hao, who was extremely nervous, was overjoyed when Ling Xiao agreed. He quickly knelt down and bowed. No need to be so courteous. I've offended the Truth Celestial Court, and your Zhao family is under the rule of the Truth Celestial Court. So unless it's absolutely necessary, don't expose our relationship. Ling Xiao said slowly as he helped Zhao Hao up with a wave of his sleeve. Yes. Zhao Hao's heart went cold as he nodded in response. He knew that Ling Xiao was telling the truth. Since 3 immortal kings of the Truth Immortal Court had died here, the Truth Immortal Court would definitely not let this matter rest. Next, it might be the arrival of a half-immortal emperor. Even Zhao Hao couldn't help but tremble when he thought of the legendary supreme power of a quasi-immortal emperor. You have already obtained the inheritance of the origin immortal emperor. In the future, you can slowly refine the eternal Tao spirit and cultivate the origin scripture. The path to becoming an immortal emperor is already smooth. Now that this matter is over, we should also leave. I'll let the little Qilin send you out of the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret realm later. Ling Xiao said slowly. What about you, master? Where are you going? Zhao Hao hurriedly asked. He knew that the little Qilin Ling Xiao was referring to the Qilin Immortal King. However, he suddenly felt a little worried about Ling Xiao. The Truth Immortal Court was one of the top forces in the eternal immortal realm. It had dominated a region for countless eras, and had many half-immortal emperors. Although Ling Xiao was strong, what would he do if he encountered a half-immortal emperor? Me? Of course, I'm going to meet the half-immortal emperor of the Truth Immortal Court. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile, and a trace of sharpness flashed in his eyes. What? The half-immortal emperor of the Truth Immortal Court? Zhao Hao's face was filled with shock. That's right. He's already here. You and the little Qilin go first. I've already told him that he will escort you out of the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret realm. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile, and then waved his sleeve. Crack! The void cracked open, and an incomparably vast divine power surged out. Zhao Hao was instantly sent to the Qilin Immortal King by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao looked at the void with a trace of sharpness in his eyes. He had already sensed that an incomparably terrifying figure was about to arrive in the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret realm. That figure exuded an insufferably terrifying fluctuation, as if it could suppress eternity, sever time and space, destroy thousands of worlds, and wield the eternal laws. There was no doubt that it was a half-immortal emperor. All right. Let's use this battle to show me the difference between a half-immortal emperor and me. Ling Xiao whispered to himself, and his eyes were extremely dazzling. In the next moment he took a step forward and instantly rose to the 9 heavens. Outside the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain, Zhao Yunyang, the immortal king patriarch of the Zhao family, stood in the void, his eyes filled with worry. This time, the trial of the Hanging Sword Mountain's secret realm was out of his control. He did not expect that the mysterious immortal king from the Chaos Sea would appear in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain and kill the Azure Dragon Immortal King. It was said that even the 3 great immortal kings of the Truth Immortal Court had died at his hands. He was extremely worried about Zhao Hao's safety, so he had come personally. Buzz. At this moment, the jade pendant on Zhao Yunyang's waist lit up. He had given Zhao Hao the same jade pendant. As long as Zhao Hao activated the jade pendant, he would be able to sense his aura. Was Zhao Hao about to leave the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain? Zhao Yunyang suddenly became a little excited when he thought of this. Crack. Then, the void in front of him was silently torn apart, and a few figures appeared. It was Zhao Hao and Morong Inxue. However, beside Zhao Hao, there was a young man in a purple robe with an incomparably arrogant face, and an incomparably charming woman. What shocked Zhao Yunyang was that he could not see through the cultivation of the purple-robed young man and the charming woman. Greetings, Patriarch. Zhao Hao did not expect Zhao Yunyang to come personally. He quickly bowed to Zhao Yunyang. It's good that you're fine. These two are? Zhao Yunyang nodded with a smile. These two are Senior Qilin and Senior Huanma. They are my master's servants. Zhao Hao did not hide anything and told Zhao Yunyang everything that had happened in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. The more Zhao Yunyang listened, the more shocked he became. His eyes were filled with shock when he heard that the mysterious celestial king Ling Xiao had killed 4 celestial kings with a single slash of his sword alone. When he heard that Ling Xiao had given the eternal Tao spirit to Zhao Hao, and that Zhao Hao had obtained the inheritance of the origin celestial emperor, he was even more shocked. While he was amazed by Zhao Hao's great fortuitous encounter, he was also filled with respect for Ling Xiao. By the way, Patriarch, this is something my master asked me to give you. It's a drop of blood essence from an emperor-grade celestial herb. It's enough to heal your Tao injuries and recover your cultivation base. Zhao Hao took out a white jade bottle and handed it to Zhao Yunyang respectfully. Old man, this is good stuff. Don't waste it recklessly. The purple-robed young man said with some dissatisfaction. He was the Qilin celestial king, and the drop of blood essence came from him. If it were not for Ling Xiao's order, he would not have wasted his blood essence to save the old man. Thank you, fellow cultivator. Zhao Yunyang was shocked when he learned that the purple-robed young man was the emperor-grade celestial king Qilin. He took a deep breath and thanked the purple-robed young man. Rumble. At this moment, a terrifying aura descended in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. The appearance of the aura caused all living beings within 100 million miles to tremble in fear. They could not help but want to kneel down and worship it. The mighty eternal heavenly might suppressed everything. The terrifying aura seemed to be able to destroy everything. Vaguely, a terrifying figure appeared in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. The figure seemed to be holding up the chaos heaven and earth, and wielded the eternal heavenly might. His aura was extremely terrifying. That's a boundary celestial emperor? Zhao Yunyang trembled, and could not help but exclaim in shock. His face was filled with horror. He did not expect the boundary celestial emperor of the Truth Celestial Court to come so quickly. Zhao Hao's master Ling Xiao was in danger now, right? Chapter 34:20. Above the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. A half-immortal emperor with a terrifying aura had arrived. His eyes were like immortal suns, blazing and resplendent. His body emitted a vast heavenly Tao might, suppressing the entire secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain, causing it to tremble violently. Ling Xiao, who was in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain, was completely locked down by an incomparably cold killing intent. "You're the one who killed the immortal kings of the Truth Immortal Court?" An indifferent voice exploded, like a divine thunder from the 9 heavens, resounding between heaven and earth. The quasi-immortal emperor stepped out, and chaotic light surged. The scene of endless worlds being born and destroyed around him seemed to have penetrated the long river of time, and appeared above Ling Xiao's head. His face was incomparably indifferent, and he had a lofty posture. The killing intent in his eyes surged, containing an unfathomable pressure. "It's me. I thought it was a quasi-immortal emperor of the Truth Immortal Court, but I didn't expect it to be just a dharma body of a quasi-immortal emperor. It seems that the Truth Immortal Court really thinks highly of me," Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Facing this quasi-immortal emperor dharma body in front of him, he didn't have the slightest fear. "One dharma body is enough to suppress you." The quasi-immortal emperor's eyes were incomparably cold. After confirming that it was Ling Xiao who killed the 3 immortal kings, he didn't waste any time and directly stomped down on Ling Xiao. Rumble. That foot contained endless power of wind and thunder, and the vast power of laws surged, causing the surrounding sky to seem as if it was about to collapse. A powerful suppressive force descended, sealing the void around Ling Xiao, not giving him the slightest chance to escape. This foot was incomparably fierce, domineering, and sharp at the same time. It was filled with contempt, as if he was treating Ling Xiao as an ant that he wanted to stomp on. Boom. Ling Xiao also didn't hesitate at all. Immortal light surged around his body, intertwining with the power of laws. Then he punched out. His physical body was incomparably strong. Although it was the body of an immortal king, it had been tempered in the chaos sea for countless years, devouring countless chaotic baleful qi, and at the same time, fusing with endless power of laws. Now, it wasn't an exaggeration to call it the body of laws. With the strength of his physical body alone, he could suppress a 9th heaven immortal king realm expert. His physical body was strong to the extreme, and he used strength to prove his Tao. Boom. The void trembled as Ling Xiao's fist imprint rose up like a celestial sun from the 9 heavens, and collided with the foot imprint. For a time, immortal light filled the air, and the world fell silent. It was as if the sky was falling and the earth was splitting apart. The power of the collision was terrifying to the extreme. Just the aftermath of the collision was enough to annihilate billions of living beings. If the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain was not left behind by the Origin Celestial Emperor, their attack would have destroyed the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain. Even so, in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain, the mountains exploded and the ancient trees were annihilated. Everything seemed to be returning to chaos. In the end, Ling Xiao's fist and the footprint exploded at the same time. Boom. Ling Xiao's eyes were incomparably sharp. With a stomp of his feet, his entire body soared into the sky. His speed was extremely fast. In an instant, he was in front of the quasi-immortal emperor. Boundless power of laws intertwined on his fist light. In an instant, it turned into billions of fist imprints and blasted towards the quasi-immortal emperor's face. "You're courting death." The quasi-immortal emperor was furious. His eyes were filled with incomparably cold killing intent. Ling Xiao used his fist imprint to blast his face. It was the same logic as him wanting to crush Ling Xiao with his foot. It also represented disregard, arrogance, and humiliation. However, a mere immortal king dared to look down on a quasi-immortal emperor. He was simply courting death. He was instantly enraged. rumble. Behind him, an endless sea of fire rose. In an instant, an immortal beast rose up like a giant dragon. It grew thousands of heads, and each head began to spurt out blazing divine light. That was the eternal fire. It was a destructive flame that ignited the eternal heavenly Tao law, and could destroy everything. Even an immortal king expert would be burned to ashes if they were touched by a trace of it. Crack! The flaming immortal dragon flew across the sky. Streaks of divine light of flames wanted to sweep Ling Xiao up and pull him into the sea of fire. A divine light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. A jade-green branch seemed to fly out of his palm and lashed out at the flaming immortal dragon. Boom! The flaming immortal dragon exploded. The eternal fire was actually swallowed by the jade-green branch like a whale swallowing the sea. The jade-green branch contained endless vitality, sprinkling down a dazzling rain of light in the void. As long as the eternal fire was touched, it would be instantly absorbed and swallowed. Ling Xiao's incomparably fierce fist imprint was not blocked at all. In an instant, it arrived in front of the quasi-immortal emperor. Get lost! The quasi-immortal emperor's eyes were incomparably cold. He pushed out his arms, as if there were two blazing saber auras surging, wanting to destroy everything. Crack! Ling Xiao's fist imprint collided with the saber aura. Runes of laws intertwined and instantly shattered the saber aura. The aura around Ling Xiao was incomparably terrifying. His entire body emitted an invincible aura. Billions of fist intents overlapped at the same time, condensing into an invincible fist that could destroy all laws. Then it directly blasted the quasi-immortal emperor's face. Crack! The quasi-immortal emperor's body shook violently. At this moment his face actually cracked. Blood flowed out as he staggered back. You're courting death. The quasi-immortal emperor was shocked and angry. Incomparably cold killing intent surged in his eyes. He did not expect Ling Xiao to be able to hurt him at close range. The power contained in Ling Xiao's punch just now made him a little scared. Could it be the true power of the eternal heavenly Tao? The quasi-immortal emperor had only touched a trace of the power of laws. He could barely mobilize a trace of the power of laws to suppress his opponent. However, he did not expect Ling Xiao, a mere immortal king, to be able to erupt with such powerful combat strength and injure him. However, although he was a quasi-immortal emperor's Dharma body, he still had boundless vitality and power. The injury on his face healed in an instant. However, the anger in his heart was completely ignited. Thousand dragons burning heaven immortal technique. The quasi-immortal emperor suddenly shouted, killing intent rising from his body. Roar! 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 Dragon roars shook the void in all directions. Behind the quasi-immortal emperor, endless immortal light intertwined. Immortal dragons with incomparably terrifying auras appeared one after another. They intertwined and condensed with each other, as if covering the sky and the sun, enveloping Ling Xiao in the center. An incomparably powerful killing force shattered everything. It was like a heavenly river pouring down, enveloping Ling Xiao's head. The endless immortal light transformed into flames. It was the fire of the eternal heavenly Tao. It was going to burn Ling Xiao completely. Buzz. At this moment, immortal light shone in Ling Xiao's palm, and the sky-swallowing sword instantly appeared. With the sky-swallowing sword in hand, his entire aura became incomparably fierce. Endless sword intent rose and billions of sword light surged. It was as if he could slash this side of the world in an instant. Chapter 34:21. Although the battle between Ling Xiao and the quasi-immortal emperor took place in the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain, the terrifying fluctuations spread out, causing the billions of living beings in the surrounding prefectures to tremble uncontrollably. Many mighty experts, perfected immortals, and even immortal kings revealed surprised and doubtful gazes as they extended their immortal senses. When they realized that someone was actually fighting with the quasi-immortal emperor of the Truth Immortal Court, they were all extremely shocked and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Especially Zhao Yunyang, who was in front of the secret realm of the Hanging Sword Mountain, witnessed this battle with his own eyes and was even more shocked. However, it seems that you're right. This fellow Taoist actually has the strength to fight with a quasi-immortal emperor. He's really a talented person. Zhao Yunyang said slowly. The gap between an immortal king and a quasi-immortal emperor was huge. Even if it was a ninth heaven immortal king expert, unless he had an eternal emperor weapon, it was almost impossible for him to fight with a quasi-immortal emperor. However, Ling Xiao broke this common sense. As an immortal king, he went against the flow and fought against a quasi-immortal emperor. He was not at a disadvantage at all, and even showed signs of having the upper hand. Such heaven-defying battle prowess made Zhao Yunyang endlessly shocked. Old ancestor, my master is not immortal. This quasi-immortal emperor of the truth immortal court is probably not his match. Zhao Hao said, his eyes filled with inexplicable confidence. Of course. What kind of person is my master? He is destined to become an immortal emperor in the future, and be an invincible figure, who controls the will of heaven. He is just a quasi-immortal emperor. He can kill him with a flip of his hand. Immortal King Qilin said proudly. Zhao Yunyang smiled and shook his head. He felt that although Ling Xiao was strong and could fight with a quasi-immortal emperor, it would not be so easy for him to kill a quasi-immortal emperor. Especially when he saw that the quasi-immortal emperor was forced to use the Thousand Dragons Burning Heaven Immortal Technique. The Thousand Dragons Burning Heaven Immortal Technique was a secret immortal technique of the Truth Immortal Court. Its power was unparalleled, and could kill a perfected immortal king, and even a quasi-immortal emperor. This quasi-immortal emperor could use the Thousand Dragons Burning Heaven Immortal Technique. He was probably a core figure of the Truth Immortal Court. At this moment, Ling Xiao took out the sky-swallowing sword. With the devouring heaven sword in hand, Ling Xiao's entire aura changed drastically. Although he had not fused with the eternal Tao spirit, Ling Xiao had comprehended the Origin Sutra and cultivated one of the supreme sword techniques, 3 Swords of Origin. This was a supreme immortal emperor art created by the Origin Immortal Emperor. It contained the power of the Origin, and was imprinted in the Origin sword. After Ling Xiao obtained the Sword of Origin, cultivating the 3 Swords of Origin was naturally a piece of cake. Quelling chaos. Cutting path. Origin. These were the 3 Swords of Origin. Every single sword contained a myriad of variations, and they contained peerless might of slaughter. They were extremely formidable. Quell the chaos. Following Ling Xiao's shout, the heaven-devouring sword in his hand actually shone with a brilliant light at this moment. Boundless immortal light gushed forth as the heaven-devouring sword instantly traversed millions and millions of miles with extreme speed, slashing towards that quasi-immortal emperor. Once the sword was unleashed, the 8 directions were in chaos. This sword light was dazzling and resplendent to the extreme. It was as if it could annihilate all things, crush all worlds, and destroy all sources of chaos. In the face of this sword strike, even the quasi-immortal emperor's expression changed drastically. This was an immortal emperor art. He had never imagined that Ling Xiao would possess an immortal emperor's legacy and unleash such a terrifying sword art. Rumble. The sword chi swept through everything, and the flames that filled the sky were extinguished. The myriad dragons' incineration immortal art was so powerful that it seemed capable of incinerating all things, but in the face of this quelling sword, it was as if it were made of paper. If the quasi-immortal emperor hadn't been vigilant and dodged immediately, this sword strike would have left a mark on his body. Cutting path. Ling Xiao's eyes were incomparably deep, as if he was immersed in the boundless sword intent of the 3 Swords of Origin. The laws around him intertwined, and the heaven-devouring sword's light grew even more dazzling. Whoosh. The heaven-devouring sword soared into the sky, its sword light illuminating all directions. The sword slashed down from the sky like a divine rainbow, as if to completely annihilate the eternal immortal domains. The river of time and space appeared, and countless lives evolved. Even the scroll of civilization, the kingdom of truth, all things in the world, and even the eternal heavenly Tao would be completely annihilated by this sword strike. As the name implied, the cutting path severed the great Tao in the Origin. This sword strike was aimed directly at the quasi-immortal emperor's Origin, making it impossible for him to dodge. It was going to completely destroy him. Damn it! World of truth, suppress all things. The quasi-immortal emperor's expression was extremely ugly, but a hint of madness flashed in his eyes. Immortal light gathered around him, and the eternal heavenly Tao intertwined to form a scripture of truth around him. Countless scriptures of truth seem to record countless civilizations, representing the truths of heaven and earth, and the laws that governed all things. They fused with each other, forming a world of truth that was formless and intangible, but could isolate all things. Boom! The cutting path fell, blazing sword light slicing through the void and crushing the world of truth. In an instant, silence reigned in all directions and heaven and earth trembled. The world of truth blossomed with eternal light, protecting the quasi-immortal emperor within it like an eternal kingdom. However, the cutting path was so fierce that cracks appeared on the world of truth, and in the end, it collapsed with a loud bang. Origin. Ling Zhao's eyes were incomparably sharp, and the battle intent around him rose to the extreme. Before the quasi-immortal emperor could do anything, he had already performed the last sword strike. Origin was the origin of everything, and also the end of everything. This sword strike contained ethereal chaotic immortal light. Everywhere it went, everything returned to silence, and everything evolved into life again. In this alternation of silence and new life, the sword light silently released the most terrifying power, enveloping this part of heaven and earth. Rumble. The entire secret realm of Hanging Sword Mountain was trembling violently, as if it would collapse at any time. The quasi-immortal emperor didn't have time to turn around and dodge at all, or even use other defensive methods, and the sword arrived in front of him. Buzz! The sword light fell, and the quasi-immortal emperor's figure was like a porcelain doll, with cracks appearing on it. Then, the immortal Tao origin was destroyed, and his aura was quickly extinguished. This sword strike was too strange and too terrifying. As a result, Ling Xiao felt that the strength in his body was about to be sucked dry. This is the inheritance of the origin immortal emperor? Very good. Outsider, I will remember you. And so will the celestial court of truth. Next, you will be pursued endlessly by the celestial court of truth. The quasi-immortal emperor took a deep look at Ling Xiao, and then directly shattered in the void, turning into a dazzling immortal light, and disappeared in front of Ling Xiao. This quasi-immortal emperor's dharma body was destroyed by Ling Xiao's sword strike. Chapter 34-22. Zhao Yunyang's eyes were filled with deep reverence. Although he'd overestimated Ling Xiao's strength, he hadn't expected him to be this strong. Even a quasi-immortal emperor had been slain by his sword. As an immortal king, he could go against all odds and slay a quasi-immortal emperor. Such power was enough to dominate the universe and shake the eternal immortal domains. Who could possibly stand up to him? Now that he thought about it, perhaps immortal King Qilan's words weren't just empty words. It wouldn't be long before a peerless immortal emperor was born in the eternal immortal domains. We're leaving. Old man, take good care of my master's disciple, or you'll be held responsible. Immortal King Qilan waved his hand at Zhao Yunyang and Zhao Hao. Then he and the phantasmal demon Immortal Herb concealed their auras, tore through the void, and teleported in Ling Zhao's direction. Forefather, although Master has slain a quasi-immortal emperor, the Truth Celestial Court won't let this matter rest, right? Although Zhao Hao was happy for Ling Xiao as well, he thought about it a little more. His eyes were filled with worry. That's right. The Truth Celestial Court has presided over the eternal immortal domains for countless epochs. They're one of the most ancient existences. Daoist Ling Zhao's actions will likely lead to them sending a true quasi-immortal emperor after him. Zhao Yunyang nodded and said, "Is there anything we can do?" Zhao Hao asked worriedly. "The only thing we can do is to keep our relationship with Daoist Ling Xiao a secret. From today onward, forget all of this. Return to your clan and cultivate diligently." Zhao Yunyang's eyes flashed. With a wave of his sleeve, he scooped up Zhao Hao, tore through the void, and headed for the Zhao family. Immortal King Qilan stored the phantasmal demon Immortal Herb in his inner world, and revealed the majestic Qilan's true form, which lay obediently in front of Ling Xiao. "Where are we going, Master?" Immortal King Qilan asked. "To the Yi family in the ecliptic state. Commander Yi has found the whereabouts of another old friend of mine." Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. Commander Yi had just sent word that he'd found the whereabouts of a suspected emperor of Kunwu Mountain. Compared to the Chaos Master, Ling Xiao preferred to address him as the Kunwu Mountain Emperor. That was the only master he'd ever acknowledged. The ecliptic state? That didn't seem to be the domain of the Truth Immortal Court. It's a good opportunity for us to lie low for a while. Immortal King Qilin was slightly taken aback, before he said with a smile, "Whoosh." Then, it got up, immortal light resplendent around its body, purple energy curling about. It directly tore through the void, moving through space, heading towards Ecliptic Province. The ecliptic state was hundreds of millions of miles away from here, separated by hundreds of large states. That place was no longer the territory of the Truth Immortal Court. Although the Qilin Immortal King seemed to be fearless, he was still very afraid of the people from the Truth Immortal Court in his heart. After all, this was an ancient power that had been powerful for several epochs. It was unknown how many quasi-immortal emperors they had, and all of their methods were innumerable. He even had an eternal emperor weapon like the Sword of Truth. Who would dare to provoke him? Although he was blindly arrogant and thought that his master was extremely talented and would definitely become an immortal emperor in the future, now was not the time to provoke the Truth Immortal Court. Therefore, the Qilin Immortal King worked very hard and continuously shifted in the direction of Huang Daozhou. Ecliptic State. Yiliang Shui, hand over the Divine Mountain's Dao Spirit in your hands. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. In an ancient city, an arrogant young man in a golden robe was riding on a flood dragon immortal beast. He stared down at Yiliang Shui and said condescendingly. Behind him, there was a group of guards with powerful auras. Some of them were young supremes with extraordinary talent. They were all true disciples of some Holy Land sect, and some were even holy sons. They had all become followers of the golden-robed young man. Why? I was the one who found the Divine Mountain's Dao Spirit first. What does it have to do with you? Li Changxing, don't go too far. Yi Liangchen's expression was extremely ugly. He was originally ugly, but now he looked even worse. Why? Based on the fact that you've lost to me. Because your Yi family is only a subordinate of the Creation Immortal Court. Because you are inferior to me. Are you not convinced? If you are not convinced, you and I can fight in the life and death arena. If you can defeat me, I will give you the Divine Mountain's Dao Spirit. How about that? The young man in the golden robe sneered. His eyes were full of disdain. He was surrounded by immortal light and auspicious qi. His aura was unfathomable. He was also a true immortal expert. Furthermore, his status was extremely illustrious. He was the ninth prince, the current sovereign lord of the Creation Immortal Court. That was why so many young supreme beings from the everlasting families and ancient sects were willing to become his followers. On the other hand, Yi Liangchen's side was weak. There was only a burly but valiant woman beside him. Ninth prince, why do you have to be so aggressive? Although my brother Yi Liangshui was inferior to you in the past, that doesn't mean he will be inferior to you in the future. He was the one who found the Divine Mountain's Dao Spirit first. If you really want to take it by force, aren't you afraid of bringing shame to the Sovereign Lord? If you really want to fight, why don't I do it with you? The woman said coldly. She was dressed in armor and surrounded by immortal light. She was also a true immortal expert and her aura was extremely powerful. In particular, she was holding a huge spiked club in her hand. It looked incomparably cold and intimidating. Xiongning, what's so good about this piece of trash? Why do you have to follow him so loyally? If you are willing to follow this prince will definitely bestow upon you an unparalleled fortune. Yi Liangshui, do you only dare to hide behind a woman? If you have some backbone, come out and fight with me. You are really a piece of trash. The ninth prince's eyes flickered. After he pulled the burly woman to his side, he immediately scolded Yi Liangshui. He knew the background of the burly woman. Even he was not willing to provoke her. She was the direct descendant of an ancient immortal emperor of the Creation Immortal Court. She was the eldest daughter of the Xiong family Xiongning. She was extremely talented, and had the legendary heaven-devouring immortal body. Her physical body was extremely strong, and no one could defeat her. If they were to fight one-on-one, the ninth prince might not be able to defeat her. However, Xiongning and Yi Liangshui were engaged since they were young. Therefore, she always protected Yi Liangshui. Ninth prince, forgive me for not giving you the divine mountain's Tao spirit. Xiongning, let's go. Yi Liangshui's face was full of humiliation. However, he gritted his teeth and pulled Xiongning away. The divine mountain's Tao spirit was his mysterious and powerful master, Ling Xiao. How could he dare to give it to the ninth prince? Moreover, when he saw the ninth prince, Yi Liangshui thought of the humiliation he had suffered and trembled with anger. Want to leave? Did I allow you to leave? The ninth prince sneered. Whoosh. A gray-robed elder behind him seemed to have received his signal. He stepped forward and blocked Yi Liangshui and Xiongning. Immortal King? Yi Liangshui and Xiongning were shocked and their expressions turned ugly. In order to seize the divine mountain's Tao spirit, the ninth prince had sent his guardian, a powerful immortal king, to attack. How shameless could he be? Chapter 34-23. Miss Xiongning, this has nothing to do with you. I hope you won't get involved. If Yi Liangshui hands over the path spirit of the divine mountain, the ninth prince will not make things difficult for him. The gray-robed celestial king looked indifferent as his vast celestial king aura enveloped Xiongning. This gray-robed celestial king was an extremely powerful celestial king of the Fortune Celestial Court. He was also the ninth prince's Tao protector. The moment he appeared, Xiongning was suppressed to the point that he couldn't attack. The ninth prince's aura locked onto Yi Liangshui. Many people in the city revealed strange expressions at this moment. Some even despised the ninth prince, but no one dared to say anything. In order to snatch the path spirit of the divine mountain, the ninth prince had even summoned a celestial king guardian to suppress Xiongning. However, they knew how precious the path spirit of the divine mountain was. The so-called path spirit was a spiritual object that was tainted with a trace of the eternal heavenly way's origin. The path spirit of the divine mountain was a path spirit that was born in a celestial mountain. Path spirits were extremely precious and were rarely seen in millions of years. They were all born in forbidden areas, ancient places of inheritance, broken worlds, and other places where people rarely went. If a path spirit was devoured directly, it could improve one's cultivation and enhance one's understanding of the eternal heavenly way's law. However, the most important thing about a path spirit was to integrate into a weapon. As long as a path spirit was integrated into a weapon and became the weapon's weapon spirit, the weapon would have unlimited potential to grow. It might even become an eternal emperor weapon in the future. Therefore, the ninth prince wanted to snatch the path spirit of the divine mountain from Yi Liangshui. He had even summoned his Tao protector. The path spirit of the divine mountain belongs to my master. I can't give it to you. Yi Liangshui gritted his teeth and refused. Although he knew that the ninth prince was arrogant and domineering, if he gave the path spirit of the divine mountain to the ninth prince, he would not be able to answer to Ling Xiao. Therefore, he would rather contradict the ninth prince than give the path spirit of the divine mountain to the ninth prince. Master? Ha ha ha. Yi Liangshui, you trash, you have a master? You are a disgrace to the Yi family. However, even if your master is a celestial king or even a celestial emperor, who dares to stop me? The ninth prince laughed heartily. His voice was filled with arrogance and dominance. Really? At this moment, an extremely indifferent voice sounded. Crack. The void seemed to have been torn apart by some kind of mighty force. Blazing immortal light blossomed as a vast and ancient aura gushed out, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. An incomparably majestic purple qilin, surrounded by chaotic light and purple qi, descended from the sky, exuding a terrifying aura. On top of the purple qilin, there was also a figure in snow-white robes, surrounded by mysterious immortal light. Although the face could not be seen clearly, there was a kind of extraordinary and mysterious aura that was untainted by dust. What? He actually had an immortal king-level immortal beast as his mount? Who was this person? Could it be a quasi-immortal emperor? Not a half-immortal emperor, but an immortal king. Which clan's immortal king has arrived? Not good. It looks like he's going for the ninth prince. Everyone's bodies trembled as they discussed animatedly. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. The Qilin Immortal King's body was an emperor-grade immortal medicine. Although his aura was concealed, he looked incomparably majestic, like some legendary supreme immortal beast in the celestial world, causing people to be intimidated. With such a powerful Qilin Immortal King as his mount, everyone was even more curious about the identity of the visitor. Master, you're finally here. When Yi Liangshui saw the figure on top of the Qilin Immortal King, his body trembled violently, and his eyes were filled with incomparable surprise. He originally thought that it would be difficult to escape from today's trouble, but he did not expect Ling Xiao to come so quickly. After seeing the Qilin Immortal King and Ling Xiao, the ninth prince's expression changed, revealing a trace of vigilance. When he heard Yi Liangshui call him master, he was even more shocked. Yi Liangshui's master was actually such a mysterious immortal king? Who are you? The ninth prince stared at Ling Xiao and asked. Ling Xiao did not even look at the ninth prince. His gaze landed on the Tao spirit of the divine mountain, revealing a hint of excitement and emotion. After countless years, he had finally found the emperor of the Kunwu mountain. However, what he did not expect was that the emperor of the Kunwu mountain was not as lucky as Zhao Ritian, who was able to enter the cycle of reincarnation and be reincarnated as a human. The emperor of the Kunwu mountain had actually become the Tao spirit of the divine mountain. The Tao spirit of the divine mountain was ignorant. He did not understand his past life and did not have this life. He could only attach himself to weapons or be devoured by others. Although all living things had spirits and could cultivate and evolve, if the Tao spirit of the divine mountain wanted to cultivate and even recover all of the emperor of the Kunwu mountain's memories, that would be the true defiance of the heavens and extremely difficult. I've finally found you. Ling Xiao muttered softly to himself, then reached out his hand to grab the Tao spirit of the divine mountain. Yi Liangshui hurriedly handed over the Tao spirit of the divine mountain with both hands, handing it over to Ling Xiao. The Tao spirit of the divine mountain was a ball of purple light, enshrouded in a mysterious aura of origin, changing all kinds of mysterious and unpredictable scenes within. However, no matter how it changed, the true spirit of the emperor of the divine mountain did not change at all. Ling Xiao carefully kept it away. You're courting death. Uncle Hui, kill him. When the ninth prince saw that Ling Xiao had ignored him and taken away the Tao spirit of the divine mountain, he immediately felt greatly humiliated. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He immediately said to the gray-robed immortal king, Fellow Taoist, please hand over the Tao spirit of the divine mountain. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. The gray-robed immortal king's eyes were indifferent as he stared at Ling Xiao and said, Who do you think you are? How dare you threaten me? Ling Xiao slowly raised his head, and his gaze landed on the gray-robed immortal king. He was incomparably sharp and domineering. He did not show any mercy and directly berated him. He had already understood everything from Yi Liangshui's explanation. If he had come a step later, wouldn't the Tao spirit of the divine mountain fall into the hands of this so-called ninth prince? Naturally, he did not have any good expression. You're courting death. Killing intent flashed in the eyes of the gray-robed immortal king. He stretched out his claws in the air and directly grabbed at Ling Xiao. Boom. The immortal light was blazing and dazzling. The sharp claw light could tear through the void like a true dragon stretching out its claws, wanting to tear Ling Xiao apart. Get lost! A cold light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as he directly threw out a punch. Crack! Immortal light rose around his body as runes intertwined. It was as if there were immortal chains of order intertwining around his body. The terrifying strength of his physical body completely erupted as a chaotic fist mark collided with the gray-robed immortal king. Chapter 34-24. Boom. Heaven and earth shook, and the void in all directions was filled with an incomparably terrifying aura. A loud explosion was heard. Ling Xiao did not move at all, but the gray-robed immortal king opposite him was sent flying by his punch. What? Everyone's bodies trembled. This was especially true for the ninth prince, Li Changsheng. His eyes were filled with disbelief. This gray-robed immortal king was his protector. He was extremely powerful, and had already reached the peak of the immortal king realm. It was said that he was only half a step away from the quasi-immortal emperor realm. He was extremely powerful, and had once killed a few ninth-layer immortal kings. Now he was actually defeated by Ling Xiao with a single punch. His expression immediately turned extremely ugly. Kill! The gray-robed immortal king roared. In his eyes, there seemed to be a mysterious scene of the galaxy reversing and the sun and moon hanging upside down. His body was surrounded by dazzling starlight as a black longsword appeared in his palm. The sword chi was extremely sharp, causing his aura to instantly change. He sensed that Ling Xiao was extremely powerful, so he did not hesitate at all, and instantly used his most powerful killing move. As the ninth prince's protector, he had to nip all threats to the ninth prince in the bud. Therefore he did not hesitate at all and directly made his move. A blazing and dazzling sword light slashed down at Ling Xiao's head as if it had instantly split heaven and earth. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply as he sensed the murderous intent of the gray-robed immortal king. His body was also surrounded by a murderous aura as anger surged in his heart. The heaven-devouring sword appeared in his palm. A sword light soared into the sky and faced the immortal king at the same time. The sword light seemed to be able to penetrate reality and the void. It contained an unparalleled power of laws that wanted to completely occupy everything. Vaguely, it seemed as if an invincible figure that pierced through the 9 heavens had appeared, wanting to completely change the origin of the rat immortal king. This was the Tao severing art of the 3 swords of origin. It could sever the origin of the great Tao, and was extremely sharp. Crack! In the void, the sword light was destroyed with a loud bang. The gray-robed immortal king's sword contained pure killing intent, but it was destroyed by the Tao severing art. Even the black immortal sword in the gray-robed immortal king's hand instantly shattered. Puchi! A beam of blood radiated out as a huge wound appeared on the chest of the gray-robed immortal king. His entire person seemed to be cleaved into 2 as his aura instantly weakened. At the same time, he was sent flying and smashed into the ground in the distance, coughing up blood. He was completely defeated. Furthermore, he was heavily injured by Ling Xiao's sword. A baleful aura gushed forth from Ling Xiao. With the heaven-devouring sword in his hand, he stepped out, wanting to slay the gray-robed immortal king. At this moment, Li Changxing seemed to have been scared out of his wits. His face was extremely pale, and his eyes were filled with terror. Yi Liangshui, on the other hand, was incomparably excited. Although he knew that Ling Xiao was powerful, he didn't expect Ling Xiao's strength to become so terrifying. Even a peak immortal king was defeated by his sword and almost died under his sword. However, when Yi Liangshui saw that Ling Xiao was about to kill the gray-robed immortal king, he hesitated and wanted to dissuade him. After all, the Fortune Immortal Court was a giant in the immortal realm. They were extremely powerful, and even had many quasi-immortal emperors. If Ling Xiao killed the protector of the 9th prince, it would cause unnecessary trouble. Kacha! At this moment, the space above the void seemed to be torn apart by a powerful force. Blazing starlight rose and the Tao flower was ethereal and mysterious. The surrounding sky trembled at the same time. A mysterious and vast pressure shrouded the land within a radius of 10,000 miles. Above the 9 heavens, a figure with a terrifying aura appeared. The figure flashed and instantly blocked Ling Xiao's path. It was a middle-aged man in a golden dragon robe, a flat crown on his head, and golden boots on his feet. His aura was majestic and mysterious. He was a quasi-immortal emperor. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly as he revealed a trace of vigilance. He didn't expect a quasi-immortal emperor to arrive so quickly. It seemed like this quasi-immortal emperor was related to the Fortune Immortal Court. Ling Xiao clenched the sky-devouring sword in his hand. Battle intent surged in his eyes, and he showed no signs of backing down. Upon seeing this middle-aged man, the 9th prince, who had been scared silly, immediately became overjoyed. His eyes were filled with excitement and excitement. "Greetings, royal uncle." The 9th prince hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. After bowing, the 9th prince stood up again and pointed at Ling Xiao with incomparable resentment. "Royal uncle, this is the person who spoke rudely to me and even wanted to kill me. He simply doesn't put our immortal court in his eyes." This kind of arrogant and conceited person must be completely eliminated to prevent future troubles. The surrounding people looked at Ling Xiao with a trace of sympathy. The quasi-immortal emperor of the Fortune Immortal Court had arrived. They were afraid that this mysterious immortal king would be in trouble. Although Ling Xiao was powerful, in their opinion, he was no match for a quasi-immortal emperor. If the quasi-immortal emperor attacked, Ling Xiao would be completely suppressed in an instant. Slap. A crisp sound rang out. Then the ninth prince's miserable cry rang out. In an instant, everyone was shocked. No one had expected that the arrival of this quasi-immortal emperor would actually send the ninth prince flying with a single slap. Boom. The ninth prince's body landed heavily on the ground dozens of meters away. Half of his face swelled up instantly. A mouthful of teeth fell out and blood splattered everywhere. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Then the quasi-immortal emperor smiled warmly and cupped his fists at Ling Xiao. He asked, "May I ask if you are fellow Taoist Ling Xiao?" Ling Xiao was slightly stunned. He thought he would have to fight with the quasi-immortal emperor. He did not expect the quasi-immortal emperor to take the initiative to show his goodwill. Ling Xiao's expression did not change. He nodded and said, "That's me." As expected, it's fellow Taoist Ling Xiao. My nephew is arrogant and domineering. I don't know how he offended fellow Taoist Ling Xiao. I hope fellow Taoist Ling Xiao will not lower yourself to his level since he is still young. I will bring him back and discipline him well. The quasi-immortal emperor smiled at Ling Xiao. "Royal uncle, why are you doing this to me? He is the one who wants to kill me." The ninth prince hurriedly asked as he ran over from afar. His eyes were filled with disbelief. "Shut up and kneel down." The quasi-immortal emperor scolded coldly. A powerful aura pressed down on the ninth prince, causing him to tremble. His eyes were filled with fear as he knelt down in front of Ling Xiao. He did not dare to say another word when he saw that his royal uncle was completely enraged. However, his heart was still filled with confusion. Why did his royal uncle protect this unfamiliar immortal king? Could it be that Ling Xiao was related to his royal uncle? The moment he thought of this, his heart became even more terrified. "Fellow Taoist Ling Xiao, this is a supreme treasure that I have kept for a long time. It's called the Gung Metal Tao Spirit. If this treasure is merged with the ancient sword in your hand, it will definitely transform your ancient sword. Take this treasure as my apology. I wonder if it's possible?" The middle-aged quasi-immortal emperor smiled at Ling Xiao. His expression was sincere. "Sure." Ling Xiao pondered for a moment and nodded. The half-immortal monarch seemed to be very sincere. Not only did he teach the ninth prince a lesson by forcing him to kneel before him, he even took out such a precious artifact to ease the tension between them. Ling Xiao naturally gave him some face, and expressed that he would not pursue the matter any further. After all, the Fortune Immortal Court was one of the supreme giants in the celestial realm. If it was not necessary, Ling Xiao would not want to offend them. "Thank you, brother Ling Xiao. Since that's the case, I'll set up a banquet in the Flying Immortal Restaurant in this ecliptic ancient city, and invite you to have a few drinks. What do you think?" The quasi-immortal emperor smiled faintly. His way of addressing Ling Xiao had also changed slightly. Before Ling Xiao could say anything, Yi Liangchen quickly transmitted a message to Ling Xiao. "Master, please accept his invitation. This quasi-immortal emperor is called Li Qingyun. He is the younger brother of the current sovereign lord of the Fortune Immortal Court. He has great authority in the Fortune Immortal Court, and is extremely powerful. If we can build a good relationship with him, he might be able to help us fight against the Truth Immortal Court." Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat and he nodded. He glanced at Li Qingyun and said slowly, "Since brother Qingyun has invited me, it would be impolite of me to decline." Everyone in the surroundings revealed an incomparably shocked expression. They had never thought that this green cloud quasi-celestial emperor would be so courteous to an unfamiliar celestial king. One should know that the quasi-immortal emperor Qingyun was the younger brother of the current sovereign lord of the Fortune Immortal Court. He had great authority and was said to be very arrogant. He was an influential figure. Not to mention celestial kings, even an ordinary quasi-immortal emperor would not be able to make him bow down. They were even more curious about Ling Zhao's identity. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.